fuck is there slur on those boobies, eh, Lance?
And there it is. Hello and welcome to the Kongversation. I'm Hyle Russell.
And I can't find my ale. I think I spilled it somewhere. I'm Nick Prol. How you doing?
Nick, for the third week in a row, you've just discussed your booze, and I'm starting to think you may have a problem in that you don't buy enough.
Yeah, I don't buy enough. For DKC3, I wanted to dress up like Bjorn Bear and have a stein of ale, and but it's just not working out.
Instead, you got a Jill Stein, which means you have to recount your ale.
Oh, not again.
All right, good night, everybody.
Now I'm Blue Bear.
This show is terrible already. All right.
Yeah. Stick a fork in us. We're done.
So we're going to be talking about Donkey Kong Country 3 this week, just like
you don't
last
say.
Week, just like the week before. But this time, we're going to be talking about Worlds 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's right. Ooh. We're actually talking about the game.
Finally.
Not about our feelings on the game, or what it was like to buy the game, or
what you thought the game was before it even came out, and how your cousins...
Right. How my third cousins like to defecate. None of that twee bullshit this week. We're actually going to be discussing the game. Because, again, what could be better besides playing a video game or watching people play a video game than listening to people talk about a video game? I think that...
I can't think of anything better.
That's the best form of entertainment there is. Am I right?
Yeah. Well, it's not that entertaining. I'm going to need more ale.
So first of all, before we get into Donkey Kong Country 3 discussion, I do have to bring up something elsewhere in our fandom. Rare sent out an email today. Apparently, the Sea of Thieves, well, what we were calling the beta, but what they're calling the technical alpha, because everything needs slick branding these days. The Sea of Thieves technical alpha opens next week for 1,000 gamers.
Ooh,
and
please say I'm one of those. Please say I'm one of those.
I don't know who's going to be on the list. I don't got any inside info here, but the cool thing is, they did open up the ability to get in the technical alpha the other week on their website, and they promised that even if you're not in this initial 1,000, they're going to roll other people in as time goes by. So even if you're not among the chosen, you may be among the chosen eventually. So
now, here's a question. I can't wait to get my hands on this game, so I hope I'm one of them. But part of me also doesn't hope I am, because do you think that seeing it in this form this early could maybe ruin the magic of the final version?
Oh, God, no. I mean, granted, I haven't played the final version, but I did play Sea of Thieves. It's going to sound like I'm gloating again. I'm sorry. I played it at Rare, and then I played it for a couple hours at E3. This year, along with Chad, along with all the other people who got to go on this trip, and it will only make you want to play more of the game. And
because I know some things like World of Warcraft have like some sort of early beta, and everyone's excited to be in it. But then when I see it, a lot of like places are not even textured; it's just like gray. And like for me, if I want to see a place, I want to see it in all its glory for the first time. Is there anything like that, or is everything going to be pretty much visually up to snuff?
I don't know. I don't know
what you don't the technical work at Rare,
alpha. So. What? No. I mean, I'm a fake paid actor naturally,
sure.
But I signed an NDA before I started shilling for them for the big bucks, and no, I am not a fake paid actor. By the way, Rare has never compensated me in any way. But I didn't notice any of that stuff while playing the game there or at E3, but granted, those were specific builds of the game designed to really like showcase certain elements. So I'm not sure what the technical alpha is going to look like, if it's going to be more of that or if it's going to be more expansive. So I'm really looking forward to it. If I'm not in there.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to hearing.
The term alpha just makes me trepidatious, the correct pronunciation of that. Like, I don't know. I want to jump into the world of Sea of Thieves and get engrossed in it. And if I get the final copy and jump in and be like, oh, I remember this place when it was just a gray placeholder, I kind of am seeing like the way the sausage is made in a way, you know.
I can understand that, and honestly, Nick, I would have been right there with you a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I think playing the game has only whetted my appetite a little bit more, and it's a game that's really going to not get old because there's an unlimited amount of ways to play it. Yeah. So I think,
and it is a lot about the gameplay that is so interesting. So I guess I could see past any unfinished aspects as long as I'm getting a sneak peek at some of this gameplay I've never done before, if it is as revolutionary as it seems.
Not just gameplay, but like interactions with others, and
I consider that part of gameplay.
So I would consider this, not an official part of the game. This is just kind of getting like an inside look,
getting your hook wet.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, dropping during the holidays, though, man, that's when time is already limited. You're way to make life more complicated for 1,000 people there, Rare.
Thanks a lot, Rare, for giving us this opportunity. Gee.
Yeah, God, really?
So rude.
You couldn't just not let anyone play the game for another year? Come on.
Oh, come on.
No, expect discussion about this on the Kongversation as we learn more. So,
and if we're not one of the chosen, if we're not one of the chosen few, maybe some of those people, if they're on the forum, can call in and let us know what it's like.
Yeah, or maybe nobody on DK Vine will be in there whatsoever.
Although, actually, no, they can't do that because I believe there's a non-disclosure agreement, isn't there?
Oh, yeah.
So we won't be discussing.
Well, I'm sure DK Vine is going to be shut out entirely, and it's just going to be the fine folks at Rare Extreme who get this opportunity.
Probably, or that Russian Rare site.
Right, it's going to be the Ukrainian hackers who attacked us. Yeah, it was all just a conspiracy. It was them and Rare and that pizza restaurant in Washington D.C. They gotta follow the clues, Nick. It's the
Ruh-roh. Reach a restaurant.
Like Scoobs, there's something going on at the pizza restaurant.
Scooby-Doo and the Curse of Pizzagate. Yeah. Oh man, there you go, Nick. There's a comic for you. I don't know how you can turn that into a DKU comic, but before we get into the topic at hand, which is Worlds 1 through 4, I did want to bring back a point from last week, or rather an unfinished point from last week. So in our discussion, it was asked if the Donkey Kong Country 3 team made a game before Donkey Kong Country 3, or if that was technically the first game.
I believe I asked it.
As they existed as a team. You did. And I said I would have to get back to you this week. Well, I'm getting back to you this week. Hi, Nick.
Hi. How was your week?
Very polite. Not great. I hate the holidays. I hate everything you have to do during the holidays on top of all the normal stuff you have to do.
Look at Mr. Bleak over here.
Yeah, so the Donkey Kong Country 3 team was mostly made up of those who worked on the Killer Instinct Super Nintendo port and then Ken Griffey Jr.'s winning run. The Super Nintendo Killer Instinct wasn't.
I'm kidding. Terrible. I think that's for many people the definitive one because it's what they owned and it's the first one I played. I was just now having played the Xbox arcade version emulation thing is just so much better. But still, this SNES one is a classic. I have it proudly displayed.
Yeah, it's not like it was the Game Boy version.
That was
Super Nintendo one.
I don't know if I had said this on the podcast, but that was my first Killer Instinct that I owned was the Game Boy one. So it's like I'm cursed to just play the Game Boy versions of these first. So at least then you're pleasantly surprised when you realize how good they are. The real version.
Right. No, the Killer Instinct Super Nintendo port came in that sexy black Super Nintendo cartridge. And it also came with a CD for free, the Killer Cuts soundtrack, which some of Robin Beeland's finest, and that weird song about Bee Orchard where she really likes fucking. So killer, yeah, he's a killer, yeah. And then there's a bunch of like orgasming sounds, like
Oh yeah,
Yeah, you think Bee Orchard's theme inspired the Banjo-Kazooie team and Grant Kirkhope and to do the voices?
Probably.
Yeah. Killer Instinct Super Nintendo. Yeah, it was the way I played Killer Instinct until it went to Xbox Live. And Ken Griffey Jr.'s winning run, a lot of fans of that on DK Vine.
It's my favorite DKU game.
It's not a DKU game, Nick. It has the Donkey Kong logo up on the Jumbotron, but that's the extent of reference.
It's enough for me.
Ken Griffey Jr., because Nintendo owned up until this year the Seattle Mariners, so I'm always disappointed that Ken Griffey Jr. is never a character in Smash Brothers. Like, if
So
you're
unfair.
going to, I mean, if you're going to celebrate Nintendo's history, you got to have Ken Griffey Jr. You've got to have convicted rapist Mike Tyson, unfortunately. You got to have all these seedy elements. Ken Griffey Jr. isn't seedy as far as I'm aware, but you got to have some fun with it, Sakurai. It's not just dudes with swords.
If you squint, if you squint at it, a bat will look like a sword. So come on.
And Mike Tyson's enormous junk.
Yeah. Why it gotta be enormous? Wow, that's so racist. Come on.
Because the court depositions went into detail about his size.
So we have proof.
I'm just saying.
Does it have a little face tattoo on the tip of it?
Yeah, and pigeons flock around.
Check out my penis.
It's really unsanitary. But he makes it work for him. All right, enough about penises. Let's talk about Donkey Kong Country 3. So anyway, yeah, and those two games is what the team was primarily responsible for. All right, so let's get to World 1. Well, before World 1, there's actually that little bit of the game before World 1, because Country 3, unlike 1 and 2, starts off not with a level. You don't just jump right into it. Like, all the exposition, little exposition, considering you don't know what the hell the story is unless you read the instruction booklet, but the groundwork is laid. There's no, in level 1, Lakeside Limbo, there's no room you go to on the left that, has some sort of context for the story.
True.
Donkey Kong Country had Donkey Kong's treehouse and then the Banana Horde cave that was empty, and Donkey Kong did his head bob of shame. Yeah. Oh, I failed you, Cranky. I failed you. I'm a terrible, terrible son. Oh, God, I should just kill myself right now. At least that's the way I interpreted it. As a failure of a son myself, that's how I interpreted it. Donkey Kong Country 2 had, Diddy going into the captain's cabin and reading the note left by Captain K. Rool, which is crude but effective. And Donkey Kong Country 3 didn't have anything in Lakeside Limbo. So instead, you start off on the map screen going to Wrinkly's Save Cave, Funky's Rentals, and Bazaar's General Store. So that kind of immediately lays the groundwork that, hey, the big feature in this game, it's a expanded, complex, nuanced map screen where you're going to have to explore, talk
It's an open
characters.
world.
Yeah, I mean, kind of an open world. Once you get out on the water, it's open.
Yeah.
As open as the map screen. The map screen seems enormous in Donkey Kong Country 3, but when you really look at it, it's actually, not that much space to roam around in, but it seems enormous because of how much of it is blocked off and how incrementally you chip away at that.
Yes.
But I remember going to... I'm going into my own personal remembrances here. We're doing this again.
Criminy.
I remember going to Funky's Rentals. And you also get your sidekick there. Instead of getting a DK barrel, Kiddy Kong joins you right off the bat.
Yep.
Which is an interesting way of doing it.
He comes out of the Dursley's closet and he rolls
right,
on
out
up
of the cupboard.
A big pink giggling ball of flesh rolls over to you.
So yeah, you get Kitty there, sans DK barrel, and then you get the motorboat as your first vehicle of choice. Hey, lads. And I remember how intimidating it was going out of Funky's Rentals and that eerie Northern Hemisphere music. Here, I'll play it now. If you listen, you can hear it coming. The eerie Northern Hemisphere music, which is probably the definitive piece of Donkey Kong Country 3.
I want this played at my funeral.
I would say, I too want it played at my funeral. I want my body to be burned in a hovercraft, pushed out on a lake somewhere while the Northern Hemisphere theme plays. I just realized if something happens to me, say tomorrow, then this is literally my last will and testament, so I better be careful about making any final wishes.
I don't see what's wrong with that.
Air.
I don't see what's wrong with that.
I remember how intimidating everything was, because the Northern Hemisphere song is beautiful, but it also conveys this sense of unknown, and that the fear of the unknown is, I think... I don't know about you or anybody else, but when I was a little kid and I was playing video games, the fear of the unknown was the most debilitating thing that kept me from becoming a good gamer.
The unknown knows.
Okay, Donald Rumsfeld. I was always afraid of what was around the corner, and I was afraid of progressing too far in games a lot of the time because I was afraid I was going to get scared by something. This is something I grew out of.
So you were a racist.
What do you mean?
You said foreign games scared you?
No. Getting far in games
I'm
scared
sorry.
me.
I'm so sorry.
No, technically Donkey Kong Country 1 through 3 are foreign games. They're made by...
Limeys.
Oh, don't call them limeys. They like lemons, too.
Terrence Stamp was in a movie called The Limey, so it's okay.
Oh, well, Terrence Stamp, he was General Zod. And Chancellor Valorum from off Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Oh, I had an action figure of Chancellor Valorum. Did you know that?
That is pretty cool. Did he have like a diploma throwing action or something?
He came with an action robe that you couldn't take off. Yeah, there wasn't much action to him. He was an old dude in a blue robe. But hey, I had him. I never opened him. He's still mint in box, mint on card in my parents' attic.
Mint in Valorum.
So anyway, yeah, the fear of the unknown though. I remember playing the original Super Mario Brothers on the NES, and I was scared of getting past World 5 because I thought the game was only going to become like more frightening as it went on.
Did you ever get past it?
To some extent it was. Oh yeah, I beat the game by the time I was 5 years old.
So you eventually learned that yes, level 6 was actually a rape simulation level.
Oh yeah, Mike Tyson. Well, Mike Tyson had that contract with Nintendo at the time. They had to like fill a quota of so many games, so naturally,
it becomes a first-person, black and white, blood-drenched snuff film. So it's good that you feared it.
Yeah, oddly enough, it was only level 6-3. 6-1 and 6-2 and 6-4 were completely on the level. Yeah, I don't know what it was, but did you ever have this, Nick, as a young gamer? Like afraid of what comes next? Like something's gonna like... I don't know why. It's not like I watched horror movies. Maybe the problem was I didn't watch horror movies, but...
Yeah, it depends. I was certainly, like most kids, was afraid. It seemed that my fears were very, looking back on them, very weird. Like very specific, odd things that aren't really scary. But I think the promise of the unknown is what made me want to progress in games. I would say, without... it depends on the game. There were some scary games in the 90s. So.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean...
Iggy's Wrecking Balls.
Like... Well, I wasn't talking about like the survival horror genre, Nick.
No. Yeah.
I was, but I think it was the Donkey Kong Country series. Well, I mean, it was before the Donkey Kong Country, honestly. Like, I was over it completely by the time of Super Mario Brothers 3, even Super Mario Brothers 2. help conquer my fears. But yeah, the original Super Mario Brothers, I remember having nightmares about like World 8 and just like I mean, I think I've even referenced this on the show before, but I have nightmares that like the princess was going to like turn out to be a monster who tried to eat you or something.
Oh, that'd be a better plot than the actual one.
And I mean, granted, she is in my erotic fan fiction, but that's for another story. I mean, that's me and Juilliard Stiles. We're working on the next masterpiece that's going to just take on Kindle literature by storm.
10 Things I Hate About Poon.
It's not even. That's not even like a Mario reference. You just.
It's a Julia Stiles reference.
Oh, okay.
Boom.
You're operating like two rungs above me tonight, Nick. I can't keep up. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Let's see. She was in Dexter, right?
Yeah, one
she was
season.
In a season of Dexter. Yeah, so maybe we could write a story called Dicker.
Gexter. Her and Gex making out.
Yeah, but by the time I got up to Donkey Kong Country, that didn't really bother me, but some things still haunted me. And I remember after Donkey Kong Country 2, the thing that scared me the most about Donkey Kong Country was that there was a lost world in the game that I had missed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I'm a completionist, and I had already completed Donkey Kong Country and moved on to Donkey Kong Land and Donkey Kong Country 2. But Donkey Kong Country 2 introduced this concept of a lost world if you get all the bonus stages.
Yeah.
What if I had somehow missed the lost world of Donkey Kong Country? And so I remember being terrified, not so much by what like was around the corner, but by my own inadequacies as a gamer at that point.
That'd be cool if there was one in DKC 1 that we still don't know about.
I know I've made forum posts in the past, like what would a lost world in Donkey Kong Country look like?
Probably like deep underwater with all those like unknown sea creatures like anglerfish that glow in the dark and stuff.
Yeah, I don't even know what concept, because you know the lost worlds of the Donkey Kong Country series, at least 2 and 3, are generally in underground caverns.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they would envision.
Maybe it'd be like
but
Hitler's bunker.
There you go, Nick. It would just be that scene from Downfall that became a meme worthy, and it would be about him bitching that he got 101%, including that bonus stage hidden in the bonus stage that's entirely unfair, and he didn't get any extra levels out of it.
I would be mad about that too.
This fear of the unknown was something that carried with me until my early teens, and I think the last time I really felt it was especially right before I got an N64, because the N64 kind of obliterated it, because you kind of have to explore, and you know, I remember trying to break games with the N64.
Yeah.
Like I would try to go past the boundaries, the invisible walls. I would always try to get where I wasn't supposed to.
There was some scary unknown in like Ocarina of Time and stuff.
Well, and Majora's Mask is just a creepy game in general,
Sure.
but Ocarina of Time had elements of that too. And I agree there, but I think generally like the phobia was conquered by then. But Country 3 is the last game where I really felt it, and I first felt it coming out on that motorboat, realizing that on this map screen I suddenly had 360 degrees of control over where my characters could go. And all of a sudden, then this wasn't just a safe map screen.
All of a sudden, it was like 3 dimensions. Who needs the Ultra 64?
Right. Super Mario 64 is a glorified tech demo. Oh, Rare, you've done it again. Give me my money, please. I'm a fake paid actor. So, yeah, initially it was. I remember just like I was like, oh god, I can go anywhere. I just got to go to the first world. Where's the first world? Where's the first world? And they got to the first world, like Orangatanga. But my god, like that's the last time I felt that little bit of fear. And luckily, I mostly played this game with Elliot. Like this is the first Country game where we didn't play the whole game together. We did go off and play individual levels together, like by ourselves and not together. Because we were growing up, Nick. We were growing up. But having a 2-player team definitely helps, too, with that phobia of the fear of the unknown.
Sure.
So I love the 2-player team, and I understand why it's not functional in Returns and Tropical Freeze, why they just have two players simultaneous play, but I do miss the whole tag-along aspect and just waiting for your turn and observing as it's not your turn. I think it's too frantic sometimes in Retro's games when two players are playing.
Yeah, they'd be criticized if they did it the old way, probably.
They would be. I wish there's a way. I wish they would offer it both ways, though. You know.
Yeah.
But I can understand why they don't. Okay, so let's get to Lake Orangatanga, World 1.
Hell
and
yeah.
in the pantheon of first worlds, I would say, let's be honest. The first worlds usually define what people remember from the game. Generally, more or less, at least as far as the defining archetype.
Especially since many people played these games as kids, and oftentimes you don't even make it past the first world.
That's why Rambi is the most iconic animal buddy. Rambi is the most iconic animal buddy, not because he's necessarily the best. He's awesome, but he's not necessarily the best. He's the most iconic animal buddy because he's the one people have definitely seen if they've played a Donkey Kong Country game. So... but, Donkey Kong Country 1 had the Congo Jungle. Donkey Kong Country 2 had Gangplank Galleon. And so we associate, jungles and pirate ships. And it carried on. Returns had jungles again. We associate that game with jungles and the specific types of ruins and temples that Retro brought to the table. And Tropical Freeze had Lost Mangroves. And, you could argue about what the best archetype is or what's the most memorable moment of the game is. But as far as the defining archetype, even though Donkey Kong Island is frozen and that's the crux of the subtitle, I would say Lost Mangroves is the main archetype of the game, just by virtue of being first. And here, like Orangatanga gets that crown. And it's also, too, what's featured on the box art. That plays a little bit into it as well. And granted, I think what's featured on the box art is the map screen in a rare one-off, but this is the closest to the map screen that exists because it is a giant lake with docks. And that all starts in Lakeside Limbo.
I love
Orangatanga. Oh, I do too. And, we talked about what is the inspiration for the lakes in this game. And, a lot of people, if you're an American, you're going to say the Pacific Northwest or Canada. If you're European, you're going to say it's Bavaria, Lake District or whatnot,
Or if you're into shitty slasher movies, you'll say it's based on Friday the 13th.
Right, which is actually what I thought was going to happen in World 6 of Super Mario Brothers. I thought Jason Voorhees was going to pop out from underneath a lake and drag Mario to his early grave.
You thought Chaos was going to stab Dixie and Diddy through the stomach while they were having sex through a bed, shish kebabbing them.
Which is also what happened when Mike Tyson guest starred in Super Mario Brothers. He stabbed with something completely different, but fortunately he went away for a few years. Lakeside Limbo, Nick.
How low can you go?
Well, a lot of people think this is a low point for first levels of the series. And again, I'm reminded of our good friend Josh from the Geek Critique and his criticisms towards Lakeside Limbo. When you compare it to Jungle Hijinks or Pirate Panic, I always want to say Pirate Picnic, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
When you can compare it to those two, Lakeside Limbo does kind of feel like a step down because it's very basic as far as first levels go. And it also has that music that's not as serene or atmospheric as the first two levels.
Oh, you mean the sousaphone isn't serene?
You're the musician, Nick. You tell me.
That's my answer.
Yeah, it's weird that this came from Eveline Fisher, considering she's known for more of the minimalist, new agey track.
Yeah, she goes full on oompa for this one.
Yeah, and I don't mind this song, and I don't think it ruins the mood of the stage. I think it is a lot more video gamey and a lot more, hoppin' boppin' kind of. We're in a wacky cartoon adventure, and I understand the criticism. It doesn't detract though from the stage, which is it's gorgeous, and I mean it's instantly iconic. You've got the snow-capped mountains in the background, the trees, the dock. You go underneath a little bit of water. It's a pretty shallow lake. But yeah, I like this, and there's no real gimmick to Lakeside Limbo either, besides just introduction to the game and an introduction to Ellie as well. This is her debut, so she really does take Ramby's place here as the game's lead animal buddy, at least as far as what the game wants to present to you. Do you have any specific thoughts on Lakeside Limbo?
I mean, I respect Josh. I think he's one of my favorite content creators on YouTube. He's got a bold vision and makes amazing videos. But if he thinks this level sucks, he can go roll around in broken glass on the highway, because this is a great level.
We should share that with him in the YouTube comments on his Donkey Kong Country 3 video. Yeah, I mean, it's a fun level. It introduces the basics. It's
not complex.
One of the things Donkey Kong Country 3 is really known for is the amount of gimmickry in its various levels. It's not content to just present a straight side-scrolling challenge. Almost every stage in the game has a centralized gimmick, and gimmick might be too tawdry of a word to use. Yeah, I like it too. It's definitely interesting what the team did with it, because remember, this was a new team, as we mentioned. This is the Ken Griffey Jr.'s winning run team, along with some other new blood. Is that Ken Griffey Jr.'s catchphrase?
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't know that. I have a Ken Griffey t-shirt, and on the back it says, "Hell yeah."
Was Ken Griffey Jr. the one guy in a Simpsons baseball episode where he got an enlarged forehead from drinking that tonic? I just remember that in the Springfield mystery spot. Oh, if only Chad were here right now, he could fill in the gaps of my Simpsons knowledge.
Yeah, I should just leave.
And then if Matt were here, he could comment on the fact that I said fill in the gap.
If anyone but me were here, it would be an improvement.
Oh, Nick, you're a treasure, and you know it. You gotta strut your stuff more.
Not all that glitters is gold. Well, not all that glitters is gold.
Like Gary Glitter.
Yeah.
There's nothing gold about him.
No.
So, but yeah, the level of gimmickry in Donkey Kong Country 3 is pretty intense. Like, Donkey Kong Country 2 is platforming perfection, and I think having the new team come in, maybe they realized they couldn't necessarily compete on that level, so what they did was throw different challenges at you in each stage. And we'll be discussing all of these as we go on, but what I think is interesting about Lakeside Limbo, it's stripped of that. This is just platforming at its core.
Sure.
It's essentially what Donkey Kong Land 3 is. Donkey Kong Land 3, it's Donkey Kong Country 3 without the gimmicks.
It makes sense as a first level. They want you to learn the controls before they throw a challenge at you.
Yeah, you learn how Ellie works. You learn how to defeat coins.
You learn how to throw Kitty to break through the ground.
But the bonus stages in this game too. In this stage, at least, there was a collect the stars, and there was also a the bananas one, where you have to collect the green bananas that appear and disappear, and so this is the first canonical appearance of green bananas, Nick. How exciting was that for you?
It was a rush. It was a rush. I was like, "Oh, my copy is messed up. There's a glitch." Oh wait, hell yeah! Or to quote Ken Griffey, hell
yeah! I also imagine that's what Chunky Kong sounds like.
Probably. Not me.
Are you just doing Fat Albert now?
I don't know. I don't know.
Can you do Fat Albert for me? Can we compare?
Hey. I'm a serial rapist.
I was gonna say Mike Tyson and now Bill Cosby. We're really just plumbing new depths on this.
Who's
episode.
Next? Marlon Brando?
Hide your butter, am I right? So The green bananas, I knew seeing them. One day, I'm going to have to collect a bunch of these green bananas with Kitty Kong's older brother.
What were those little shitty candies, those hard candies that were shaped like fruit? And I think there was a green banana in there.
Oh, runts?
Were they runts? Yeah, wasn't there a green banana?
There was yellow bananas. They had green apple.
Okay. I always thought the bananas in DKC looked like runts to me. I don't know why.
Here's the thing about runts, Nick. I am a man who loves bananas. And part of that is because of the influence of the Donkey Kong series. I admit, I'm a unabashed fanboy, and I choose my fruit preferences based on the video games I like. I admit this. But I've also really grown to love banana flavor. I like banana pudding, banana cream pie, banana ice cream. If you stick a banana in front of my face, I'm going to gobble that sucker up.
And the Rayman series is why I like plums so much.
Oh, I like plums because of the late 60s psychedelic song Barnaby Plum by Mandrake Memorial.
Oh, classic.
It is. Nobody knows this song, and it's fucking epic.
The only thing tastier than Barnaby Plum is a strawberry alarm clock.
The chocolate watch band and a vanilla fudge.
Man, the 60s were tasty.
They were. And electric prunes. That was another one. But I saw Doctor Strange the other week, and the end credits, Michael Giacchino, the composer who composed Lost, by the way.
Correct.
He did the music for Doctor Strange, and the end credits, I swear, were influenced by the song Barnaby Plum. In the theater, I got really excited, and I told my wife, "It's Barnaby Plum!" She didn't know what I meant, and nobody...
Well, given the whole psychedelic aspect of the character, I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised, no. So just look up Barnaby Plum, people. It's on YouTube. It's a good song. It's a good song if you like weird psychedelic music like me. So anyway, what were we talking about? Oh, I was talking about warp barrels real quick. Yeah, the first, much like Donkey Kong Country 2 and Donkey Kong Country, honestly, there are warps hidden in the first two worlds, I think. And this is the first game to actually define them as warp barrels. Before this game, they were just invisible barrels that took you to the end, but they're actually made a thing in this game. And then later on in the Game Boy Advance ports, they were retconned in the first two games to be warp barrels. So, a little fun fact for you. Real quick, too, since we're on collectibles and stuff, bear coins are replacing banana coins in this game, which I always liked because, banana coins are the iconic currency of the series. It's our equivalent of not Mario's coins, considering they don't give you lives. I mean, bananas are our equivalent to that, but just a form of currency. I guess rupees would be the equivalent if you're going to another Nintendo series. But banana coins were in Country 2 and Land 2, and it made sense, but they weren't really beholden to keep them around, and I like that they made them very unique and specific to the Northern Hemisphere. As much as I like that in Donkey Kong 64, then this very team brought back banana coins, rather than coming up with a new currency. It makes sense that that's the currency on Donkey Kong Island.
Absolutely.
And, I'm really also tickled that Retro kept them, and it's actually now an established thing that cannot be veered from. But I like bear coins. I like the Northern Hemisphere. That's just another piece of evidence that the Northern Hemisphere, it's its own government, it's its own place, it's its own identity. And I want to know who the bear on the bear coins are. Was it modeled after a specific bear from history? What, like Bear George Washington or Bear Queen Elizabeth, or like what's going on with this bear? Is that Bear?
I think it was Julius Bearzer.
Oh, Julius Caesar. I thought you were doing another Juilliard Styles riff.
Or Richard Belzer. You never know with me.
Yeah, I was thinking Richard Belzer for a second too, because I was like, well, Nick's referenced Richard Belzer in the past. I know he's a Munch fan. All right.
I'm more of a Republican.
You mean to tell me this guy gets off on raping princesses in World 6-3? All right. Also, let's talk about the end of level target real quick, since we're just encompassing everything.
Yeah, it was an interesting change
so-
of pace.
Before the Returns games, each Donkey Kong Country game, and for that matter, Donkey Kong Land game, introduced a new end-of-level target. Donkey Kong Country had the exit caves, simple, effective, classic. Donkey Kong Country 2 had the end-of-level targets that gave you the prize on the little pole.
More Mario style, kind of.
Kind of. It allowed you to incorporate strategy into it because you had to hit it from a high point. So it was just one more level of complexity woven into the fabric of the series.
Oh, I much prefer it to the flag, but it is sort of similar, like to the flag.
Well, the flag poles of this game, they're essentially just ripped from Mario. A little bit more realistic looking, besides the fact that they change into the color of your character, which I like, but whatever. But there's no prizes associated with this, and maybe they thought having to figure out the coin puzzle of the stage was enough, and they didn't want to come up with a similar mechanic to the Donkey Kong Country 2 end-of-level target. But yeah, these are pretty mundane, and I don't hate them because I don't really hate anything in the Donkey Kong Country series, but I can't say this is my favorite, and I think it's definitely a step down from the last game. But I do like that they change colors with them. I like that they're magical flags, and when you touch them, they become the defining color of your clothes, a la Power Rangers. And
I guy.
It's always iGuy, Richard Belzer, and Frank Zappa with you.
I don't know about the Belzer one, but the other two, I think.
I'm pretty sure it's always Richard Belzer with you, even when you're not talking about the bells. There's always some subtext that goes back to homicide, life on the streets.
I mean, I do have that podcast of mine, Saved by the Bells.
Why not? Why don't we just start that podcast too? We'll do that. We'll do the Kongversation on Wednesday nights. We'll do Saved by the Bells on Thursday nights. We'll I don't know. We got to compete with the Thanksgiving podcast, and I think Richard Belzer is the way to go. It's much easier than the Thanksgiving podcast because 9 times out of 10 he's playing the same character.
Yeah.
So it makes it a lot simpler. So anyway, yeah, I always played as Dixie. During my initial playthroughs of Donkey Kong Country 3, my friend Elliot played as Kiddy Kong. I played as Kiddy Kong. My God, is this early onset Alzheimer's? Holy shit. I played as Kiddy Kong, he played as Dixie, because I played as Diddy, and he played as Dixie, because I played as Diddy, and he played as Donkey. There you go, you gotta work your way back. And, so, I was always kind of disappointed when I cleared the stage, because I thought Kiddy's, blue color on the flag was a lot less striking than Dixie's hot pink. And I like seeing the hot pink on the map screen. I'm a man who likes hot pink, Nick. What can I say?
Redefine gender roles, baby.
Yeah. Oh, and that's another thing. On the map screen, you no longer had the Kong and Kremlin character heads, that were defined in the first and second games. Instead, you have more in-universe visual representation with the flags on the map screen. And when it's under Kremlin control, there's a Kremlin K, which, I haven't really seen used outside of this game to signify the Kremlins. The Kremlins usually use either, if it's the pirate faction, they use the Kremlin Jolly Roger, and if it's the normal faction, they usually use a normal skull and crossbones, like featured on Critters' jackets or on their belts later on. But there's just a K on a black flag here, which is pretty lazy. But at least you immediately know what it's referring to, the Kremlins. So
it works.
I guess they use that too. They're men and women of many flags and colors. But I like the way the map screens worked in this game. This is also a game that we broached upon this last week, but they didn't just have static renders for the map screens in this game. There's more animation involved, where it's weird going back and looking at Country 1 and 2. They're literally just static rendered images that aren't animated in any way. Occasionally they would mix it up a bit. They would have a little animation on the overworld, but besides the characters moving around and the character heads, there's really nothing going on there. So this game leaps and bounds on the map screen, and also on the sub maps, the world maps outside of the overworld. You would also have different music. So you would have the haunting Northern Hemisphere theme, and then you would have a more subdued but still kind of serene and yeah, it was almost like a march. Like, okay, get ready. You got to psych yourself up for the task at hand. It's like, okay, the exploration is over. Now you're in this. You're ready for some video gaming. I liked it.
So doorstop dash.
Doorstop dash. Oh my God, we got to speed this along.
Yeah, that's what I'm implying.
We can talk about Mike Tyson and his heinous crimes some more, if you would like.
Yeah,
or
fuck
we could
it.
go on to doorstop dash. So this is the first mill stage, and are these flour mills?
They're fever mills.
Yeah, because they play a clear ripoff of the song.
You gave me fever.
Yeah. Which you pointed out to me last week, and I probably already knew this, and it just slipped from my head because, as I just realized, apparently my memory is eroding. But yeah, it was new to me last week, the revelation, and I was like, oh my God, Eveline Fisher, we caught you. You thought you'd get away with it, but we caught you.
Gotcha. Yeah, there's like 5 other instances of that too, but I won't push it because I love the soundtrack.
How unique of an archetype is a flour mill or a wheat mill or whatever this is?
Pretty cool.
I've never.
They get a little redundant or repetitive.
Yeah, as far as my favorite like archetypes go, this is probably my least favorite of the game, but
Yeah.
I respect it.
Exactly.
I like that. I wish it was like an apple cider mill or something, or something, like a water mill or something. But a flour mill is still cool, and because
The gimmick of this one was the doors, right?
Right.
Which was interesting.
Yeah, so this is basically there are like steel doors blocking your entrance, and you have to find the lever and jump on it, and then it raises the door, and then you have to quickly, as the name implies, dash under the door as it's closing, a la Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom when he was in that bug-filled room, and then he had to get out, and then he stuck his hand under and he grabbed his hat.
And similar to Indiana Jones, if you're playing as Dixie, you most likely have a giant ball rolling behind you.
Hey, yeah, a giant ball of pink flesh.
Yeah.
Short round,
Giggly.
Kitty Kong is not. Yeah, so yeah, that's the gimmick of doorstop dash. The introduction to the gimmickry of Donkey Kong Country 3, but it's also an introduction to the mills. And I don't know. I like I said, the mills aren't my favorite, but I respect that it's a unique archetype that really you won't see in any other platform game. Because, platforming games really all follow the Mario trope that established from the first 3 Super Mario games.
Desert land, Iceland, Fireland.
Right. Really just the elements, and then,
Mill land.
Mill land, right. By the way, bonus stages in this one also introduced the variation on Destroy Them All, but here they're called Bash the Baddies. It's far less violent this time around. I don't know. I prefer Destroy Them All because I love that render from Donkey Kong Country 2 where Diddy and Dixie are
Destroy them all.
Bash the baddies.
I like where they're trying to destroy the clomp by like literally pulling them apart. It just looks like weirdly violent. Anyway, that's doorstop.
I'll get
dash.
the ankles and you get the wrists.
Enough about level 6-3 of Super Mario Brothers, Nick. This is not the time. This is not the place. This is the family show. Shame on you.
Just referencing soul coughing.
Title Trouble. Got anything to say about Title Trouble? This is the second dock stage in the game, and it's
Ew, docking. Ew.
Why would you take it to a perverse place? Why would you?
I don't know. It's almost like I learned it from you, Dad.
You did learn it from me, son. Now watch.
You gave me fever.
This kind of follows the pattern of the first game, where you had the normal pirate ship stage, and then you had a break, and then you had a normal pirate stage again. Donkey Kong Country
I like how
1,
this one, it goes from above water to underwater.
Yeah, and I guess the gimmick of this, it's not really that noticeable when you're playing it, but the gimmick of this is that the water is moving slightly. And so you have to, make sure it doesn't send you drifting into an enemy under the water.
Yeah, that was cool. Is this our first look at Coco? Or is he in the first level?
I can't remember if Coco is in the first one, but Coco's definitely in this one.
Yeah.
And thing that always comes to mind when I talk about Title Trouble, because I talk about Title Trouble, when I'm in line at the DMV, I'll be talking about Title Trouble. When I'm, at the bank, trying to get
How about that Coco, am I right?
I remember when I tried to get a business loan for DK Vine. This is before the Patreon. And I went to the bank and I was like, well, what are your thoughts on Title Trouble? The third level in Donkey Kong Country 3. I didn't get the business loan, by the way. No. In fact, they suspended my account entirely with the bank. But
the thing that comes to mind for me is people might think you're saying title trouble, and then that's a title trouble right there.
The title trouble is nobody knows what double trouble actually refers to.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But title trouble, the sky, it's kind of similar to what they did with Donkey Kong Country 2, but it's a pseudo sunset that's reflected on the water, and just a gorgeous stage. And the thing is, can we talk about the graphics of Donkey Kong Country 3 real quick?
No.
Do they seem as... No, you don't want to talk about... Okay,
No.
Good night, everybody. We're done.
Now, of course we can.
Stay tuned for part 4. We're going to be discussing the next 3 stages of the game. And then every episode after that, we'll just incrementally get... it'll be a 30-part spotlight episode, but whatever. No, you think the graphics of Donkey Kong Country 3 are as good as the graphics of Donkey Kong Country 2? Because honestly... As good as the graphics are for Country 3, I think they're a slight step down, only in the fact that it's a new team, and maybe they didn't get the most out of the ACM like they did in Country 2. But I'd
be open to this. What's an example?
I don't know. I'm just looking at a picture of Title Trouble right now, and I'm looking at the mountains, and it's gorgeous, but...
It could be because it's a brighter game and the flaws are more apparent.
Maybe that's it. I'm just thinking it's not rendered as perfectly as Country 2, and this could just be me, my eyes playing tricks on me, my preferences kind of creating biases in my own head. And granted,
I never thought
in a lot of areas, this game is more gorgeous than Country 2. The map screens, as I already said, I mean, it far excels what the old team did. But I don't know. I don't know. I think it's a step over Country 1, but I don't think it quite meets that lofty perch that Country 2 sat up.
I'm not sure if I agree, but I don't disagree. So
I'll take it. Compromise. I don't know if we're we do these for the patrons at the $5 and up tier live. So any of you in the live stream chat, if you want to say
they're saying it. Hyle,
they're saying,
Scrap69 says Hyle thinks the graphics of DKC2 are better than DKC3. DKC2 is all artificial shit and looks fucking gross. I mean, the water stages look dreary at best, like the stupid crates. I Am Gibbon says DKC3 has the best looking water stages. Those reefs, fucking gorgeous.
Okay, I'll agree. I'll agree. I Am Gibbon. The water stages are probably the best looking in the series. Scrap says the only good environments of DKC2 are the Bramble stages.
I don't know about that.
I think that. Yeah, I think you're wrong there, Scraps. But and he says the honeycomb stage as well. I don't know. I think all of Country 2 is gorgeous, but Nick, I think maybe you're right. Maybe I am being unfair. I think it is a brighter game altogether, and yeah. Now that I think about like the water stages are gorgeous. I don't know. I just think the dockside stages aren't as pretty as like
Sure, they're really
any
simplistic
Country 2
too.
stage. They're simplistic, and maybe
Yeah.
maybe it's the lack of complexity that doesn't allow them to show off how graphically awesome they are and how.
Think about the
state-of-the-art it is.
riverbed stages though, and the cliffside stages. Like those trump anything into. Not to say Trump, but
Right, they Gary Johnson anything.
there we go.
We'll get into the Riverside stages because
Yeah.
the Riverside stages are actually now that I think about it, I like the Mill stages more than the Riverside stages. We'll get into that. All right, next stage. Oh, Scraps also says the swamp, whatever, and then he has
The
an emoticon
swamp.
with the tongue sticking out. So
It's a
so
K.
okay.
K.
By the time this episode is done, Scraps is just going to keep amending his previous statement. Oh, and the pirate stages. Oh, and the rigging stages. Oh, and K-Rool's castle. And the jungle. And the lava. Happy birthday, Scraps. So anyway,
happy birthday.
Skidda's Row is the 4th stage. And what the hell? It's a snow level already?
Yeah.
They're not wasting any time here. We're not even like going up to a snow world later in the game, which there is. It's
Yeah.
the 5th world, but
They're giving you a little preview of it.
which I kind of like, and
Yeah.
it kind of works for this game because it is the temperate game. It's not like the outliers here are any tropical stages or subtropical stages. So I like that this game shows you, well, this is a cooler climate, so why not? We can have a slight change in elevation and give you snow right away. And considering, we first played this game in late November through December, it's good. It's seasonally appropriate too. So this is our introduction to the snow levels in this game, and unlike the more sparse surroundings of Donkey Kong Country 1's snow stages, the snow levels of Country 3 are more populated by cabins that seem to have been snowed in up to the door, and those provide platforming obstacles and also give you some level of variation in the terrain. And this is where Skidda, the purple Kremlin, who is a just a reskinned cobble, this is where they come into play. It's called Skidda's Row, and they basically slide back and forth, sometimes in tandem, but most memorably they do it on top of these cabin roofs. So you have to get over them and get the high ground, or else they're going to run right into you. And the snow effects in this stage, they kind of replicate half-heartedly, I would say, the infamous blizzard of the first 3 stages of Gorilla Glacier in the first Country game. And it's less impressive here, and granted, they couldn't just repeat the blizzard of the first, because that's such a memorable moment of the slow realization that, oh my god, the snow is picking up. Oh my god, we're in a blizzard. And then you go through Slip Slide Ride, and then you come out on the other side, and the blizzard is still going on. Oh, now it's tapering off. But they don't really do that here. The snow kind of picks up, and but it again, the effect is not as grand. But that's fine, because the Country series already did it once, and you don't want to repeat yourself. But
Yeah.
I like that. This because Country 2 didn't have snow stages. It had ice caverns, but that was the extent. So I like that this is a return to more traditional snow, especially after such a non-traditional stage as Mill. So, yeah, I don't know. Anything you would like to add about Skidda's Row?
It's a fun first snow level. That's about it.
Yeah, that's about it. Oh, I also wanted to bring up the snowmen in the background here. They've got giant snowmen with yellow and red scarves, Donkey Kong colors, actually, I just realized, with carrots in their mouth and top hats. And I don't know, this is the first like introduction to Donkey Kong Universe snowmen, which would become a major theme over the next couple of years. Diddy Kong Racing would have a ton of snow. Well, obviously this game has a snowman boss, but Diddy Kong Racing had a ton of snowmen. Some actually hidden snowmen. There's a hidden snowman. This will be something we discuss on a Diddy Kong Racing spotlight, but there's a snowman that you don't normally see, and if you go off the beaten path, and in the first track in Snowflake Mountain, Everfrost Peak, I think. But yeah, it's there's a hidden snowman, and I don't know if many people know about this. Probably not. There's a snowman you don't normally see, and you have to fly off the track, and then you'll see it.
Good to know.
Good to know. I don't know why I'm bringing this up. And then, of course, Sir Slushes in Banjo-Kazooie, which I actually took a shiny to for some reason, even though I'm more about spring and summer than I am winter. But I love those cackling snowmen, and I decided my online moniker would be Sir Slush. Unfortunately, somebody else thought that too, so I went with Sir Slush 2. But then I got my own website, and I shortened it to Slush. So, and where's Sir Slush at AOL.com now? Probably dead. We can only hope.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Original Sir Slush. Okay. Murky Mill. It's another mill stage, Nick. Yay!
I love and hate this one. I really like the gimmick idea. It's really cool. And it also adds a lot of ambiance, but I never like playing this level that much, because if you see a rat, it ain't fun.
I love the gimmick of this stage, and this is where the gimmicks really take on a life of their own, where you remember the stage more so for the gimmick itself than the actual archetype. And this is a great one, and one that the Mythbusters actually proved is true. Did you know elephants are actually scared of small rodents? Like, they will run from them. Wow. And I don't think it's like actually a phobia of rodents. I think it's more of like there's this small thing scurrying towards me, and it like affects some part of their brain, but it like freaks them out. And they tested this, and it wasn't just movement. It was specifically a mouse was freaking out an elephant. So this is actually something that is plausible, as the Mythbusters would say. So I love that the Donkey Kong Country series, for once, is accurate in the realm of science. No, excuse me. It's always accurate in the realm of science. And any perceived inaccuracies are just us misinterpreting the situation. Sorry. What the hell is wrong with me, Nick? I feel like I'm becoming somebody else. I can't remember which character I played as during my initial playthrough of the game. I can't remember my own bullshit fandom justifications for why Donkey Kong Country is the most purest religion we can follow. Oh, God.
Come on, step up your game.
I need you to set me right when I falter, Nick. I need you to right my wrongs, like Charles in Charge. I need you to be my moral compass, like Scott Baio, who appeared at the RNC convention this summer.
I'll be your Bob Loblaw.
So, Ellie, in this stage, you transform into Ellie, and it's a dark stage, mill stage, and the only lighting is from the spotlights that shine down. And there are sneaks everywhere. And if Ellie sees a sneak in the spotlight, then you will lose control of Ellie, and she will quickly turn and run away. So, this is not only a great gimmick, but it's also coming up with a unique use for an animal buddy. And I can't really remember if there's really been any non-built-in gameplay uses for animal buddies like this, like actually setting a story within a stage itself that doesn't necessarily apply elsewhere. This is great. I love this. And you say this is not one of your favorites, and I can't say like
it is one of my favorites.
I can't say like this isn't one of those stages that I always want to revisit, like Bramble Scramble or anything. That's just like reveals new layers of platforming perfection every time I play it.
It's just a love-hate relationship with it. I love it, but for some reason I I get annoyed, or maybe I suck at it because I always have Ellie see a rat and then go running and have to redo it. But
Yeah. No, I don't know. This is just something that sticks out in my mind of how creative the Donkey Kong Country 3 team got, and how they were able to take what the first team built and really just kind of go wild with it in a way that's kind of liberating. Like, they had the basic tentpoles of Donkey Kong Country already made for them, so during the year of development, they could really kind of come up with shit like this. And this is why I think it was beneficial to kind of trade off the development of the third Donkey Kong Country game to a team with fresh eyes, because you got stuff like Murky Mill, and I like Murky Mill.
me too.
Good. I'm glad you like it. So let's talk about the boss. Belcha. Belcha's Barn. And Belcha is a weird son of a bitch. And
Or daughter of a
but
bitch.
You think Belcha... Okay, there's this controversy that Belcha
Recently.
might be a lady. Recently.
I don't think
Explain
so.
this to
I
me.
don't think so.
Explain the controversy to me, Nick.
I guess since it ends with an A, could be. Although Skidda and Crusha, I think it's just a thing.
Yeah, we talked about Orko last week from Jungle Beat, who has whatever you call, is it a pod of babies if you're a killer whale, or is it it's not a litter, but she has babies, and but you said, well, her name ends with an O, but I don't think that really matters.
Nah.
I think you can have masculine and feminine names irregardless of your gender. So, but Belcha on the surface is weird as fuck, but has historical roots in the first two Country games, because there's always this weird cybernetic kind of mechanical automaton of a boss. Country 1 had Dum Drum, Country 2 had Cleaver, so why not a giant regular barrel that vomits other barrels at you, and then you have to have him ingest bugs that he can then belch and move backwards and eventually fall into a pit and immobilize him. Okay, it's weird when I talk about it out loud. Yeah, well, one of the earliest DK Vine features was a tribute to Belcha for no other reason than he's a weird character and we like him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Belcha, it's got those big, like, dry eyes. That's
I love his eyes.
Kind of the K. Rool bulging eyes, but both of them are just kind of red and irritated. And human-esque eyes, too, which is weird, because Dum Drum, didn't really have... He had the red glowing eyes, as did Cleaver. Belcha is weird in that he has fleshy eyes, and I think that's what's off-putting about him. And so much of the art direction of this game, off-putting in a gloriously good way. It's a good weird.
It's a freak show.
It's a freak show, as we mentioned, and you love freak shows, Nick. What is that? Why are you making slurping noises? Is that like a Hannibal Lecter thing?
I guess so. I don't know. It's just a little creepy thing I do to try to be funny.
Yeah, it's better than doing a Buffalo Bill,
I'd freak me hard.
Any other thoughts on Lake Orangatanga before we move on?
Belch is awesome.
Belcha is awesome. Did you want to... I mean, this is also the home of Barnacle Bear, at least in the Super Nintendo version. Of course, in the Game Boy Advance version, which we're not discussing. That's going to be its own spotlight eventually.
Of course.
But Bachelor Bear was the bear in this world. But this is always going to be the home of Barnacle to me.
Sure.
And... we got, there's a save cave here. There was banana birds. We're not going to be talking really about the banana bird mini games until next week, when we really get into the ultimate end game of Donkey Kong Country 3, the end goal, as it were. It
is interesting that Barnacle Bear was at a lake. You think he'd be in one of the more underwater oceanic type of places?
Well, he's a retired sea captain, so maybe I like that he still has an affinity towards the water. He just doesn't necessarily want to be out on the open sea anymore.
Yeah.
But we'll be discussing the whole Banana Bird endgame next week, so we won't really be getting into those this time. This is our introduction to Swanky's Sideshow as well, which it's fun. I like Swanky's Sideshow. It was a lot more involved than just answering trivia questions, which is good in one way, but I do miss the level of fun of reading the wrong answers that Rare would come up with, which and a lot of times pointed towards future canon, because that was where we got the name Chunky Kong from, was one of the incorrect answers to what Funky Kong's name was. And they gave Chunky Kong, and then this team took that name and made their own character with it. So Swanky was referencing Dixie's cousin, and we didn't even know it at the time.
Nope.
All right, well, goodbye, Lake Orangatanga. Hello, Kremwood Forest. And Kremwood Forest, it's a little bit different than the other temperate forest of the series up to this point, Vine Valley. It's a little
more
darker,
like a redwood forest.
Yeah. It seems a little bit more overgrown, a little darker in places, but there's different takeaways from it. There's the river bank, and then there's the redwoods. And we'll start with the redwoods. Barrel Shield Bust Up is the first level, and this is our introduction to Minky Kong, as we call him. And these little white monkeys who throw, I guess, are they rocks? Are they coconuts? Are they tree nuts? What do exactly monkeys
I don't think we want to
throw?
know what they're throwing.
You mean they're literally they're ripping out their testicles and they're bombarding the Kongs with them? You would think they would be out after 2.
You'd think.
Or maybe they just keep getting prosthetic balls, because prosthetic balls are a thing. If a man loses his testicles, if he wants to feel like he has the complete set, he can always get a rubber ball.
I've seen quite a few hanging off the back mud flaps of cars.
That's true. Do you think Lance Armstrong did that? Obviously he lost one of his testicles, but to compensate, did he put those truck testicles on the back of his bike? So anyway, Barrel Shield Bust Up. The gimmick of this stage is Minky themselves, but it's also how to avoid Minky. And you've got these, barrel shields going up and down the ropes inside the redwood trees. And to not get pelted with whatever the fuck Minky is throwing, you've got to climb up the rope with the barrel shield as it moves up, which can be kind of tricky from time to time, especially if you're playing as Kitty, who is obscenely large and pretty much takes up the entirety of the barrel shield. But Kitty was not the best choice for these stages, let me just say. As somebody who played as Kitty, I definitely missed the nimbleness of Diddy and Dixie.
Sure.
But the redwood stages in particular are a fan favorite as well, and it's weird that they're all hollowed out though. You go inside from the hollowed out redwood to hollowed out redwood, and the entirety of the stage takes place on the redwoods. You see the rest of the forest in the background, but you're never on ground level. You're never on any wood platforms. It's not like Treetop Town. It's literally just inside the various hollowed out redwoods. And there's also, I think, like carved platforms made out of the tree that you walk on. Inside. But I don't know. These are a fan favorite. They're one of the iconic Donkey Kong Country 3 archetypes that people always remember.
Oh, really?
I think that's because it fits into the whole temperate theme, along with the lakeside stages, the redwoods and the waterfalls, and it's all very much of a similar theme. And yeah, I don't know, very Return of the Jedi having redwood, which is funny because Treetop Town always felt like an Ewok village, but here we have the actual redwood forest that the Ewok villages were filmed in. True, yeah. Always referencing Ewoks here on the Kongversation.
Well, this is the Return of the Jedi of the DKC series. What can you say?
Yeah, a little bit. Little weirder, little off kilter, but damn it, I don't see the problem with it. I think people are just too harsh sometimes.
A flawed masterpiece.
Yeah, it's not as moody as the previous entry, and it may lack a certain level of cool that the previous entry just exuded, but it's got its own charms, and you just have to embrace it for what it is, and it's a worthwhile conclusion to the trilogy.
People are always like, Empire's the more mature, awesome movie because it ends on such a down note. Everything's up in the air, like that's edgy and that's cool, that's like artistic, and they're right, and it's awesome, but you kind of have to watch all three for Empire to be awesome, because if you just watch Empire, at the end you're just like, oh shit, well, everything sucks. But if you just watch one, if you can only watch one, and you watch Return of the Jedi, you're feeling pretty good at the end.
You know who else was feeling pretty good in the end? Carrie Fisher. Of course, we don't know if she was actually banging Harrison Ford on the set of that one. That was just the original Star Wars, as far as we're aware. But there were
no, she was banging Warwick Davis.
Oh yeah, in the Ewok costume.
Of course.
She crawled inside, and the thing really reeked by the end of the day. But
yeah, it was all crusty, foul.
Oh, he was like a little boy during the making of that film. That's not cool.
Was he? Oh yeah.
Yeah. She was banging Kenny Baker in R2-D2. There.
Yeah, there we go. That's
much more appropriate. Yeah.
Not Willow.
Riverside Race, Nick. The first riverbank.
That's not a nice way to refer to Native Americans just because they lived along riverbanks.
This episode is a trail of tears.
I think you've made that joke before.
Yeah. It's Andrew Jackson approved.
But yeah, Riverside Race. Fuck this level.
This is the first riverbank stage, and just as a point of reference, I am not necessarily a huge fan of this archetype, and I don't know why. I think I like several elements of it. I like the mushrooms, but I think the whole design never really comes together for me. It's kind of ugly.
I like being Ellie in these
wrong?
levels more than the Kongs.
Yeah, but am I wrong though that they're just kind of ugly? I don't know. I don't know what it is. This doesn't speak to me in any way. And I love nature. I'm a nature man. But there's just something about
I'd have to look at it again. I can't imagine it as clearly as the other stages.
Yeah, it's just like a hodgepodge of trees and bushes and mushrooms and logs, and there's like the ground is kind of yellowish, and I don't know. It is what it is. It's fine. It's just I don't hate it because, again, I don't hate anything about these games. But as far as like archetypes go, this would be in my bottom.
It looks kind of like what Project Dream looked like.
Little bit, funny enough. And I remember commenting on that when they finally revealed videos of Dream. And I was wondering if this team didn't like swipe it from that team, or if that team wasn't inspired by what this team was doing with DKC3. I don't know what the give and take there was, but I liked it a lot more from what I saw in Dream than I do here. I don't know, but I don't
hate it.
I don't hate it either. It's just in my bottom three when it comes to favorite Donkey Kong Country 3 or favorite Donkey Kong Country archetypes as a whole. But that being said, I like the gimmick of this stage. And this is kind of a twofer. Not only do you have the time ticking away, the stopwatch in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, but you also have the mini buzzes that are chasing you throughout the stage.
And the timer, the gimmick itself is tied into a Brothers Bear.
Which you don't know at first. You go to Riverside Race before you even visit Brash Bear. So, unless you already know what's coming, the whole point of the stopwatch, it's a mystery until you get the Brash Bear, and I like that. Unless you know, like, because I always explore when I first get to a stage, so I'm not trying to do a time trial. This is also, by the way, a nice preview of what's to come with the retro games with their goddamn time trials with Professor Chops, which the whole, I gotta get a shiny gold in this one. Let me just lose every bit of my soul as I attempt to do this again and 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 again.
I never even attempted those.
I still have. I'm saving that for an eventual slush fund because I just know like there's not going to be any point in doing it right now. But I know DK Vine mainstay and Inner Circle member Carla Gurney was adamant about getting shiny golds in every stage of Donkey Kong Country Returns, and she wouldn't let herself progress until she got a shiny gold. So she would unlock the time attack. She would have to get a shiny gold in level 1-1 before she'd go into level 1-2. I think that's what she was doing. I don't think she got very far. But I can't imagine that. I'm a completionist, and I'm pretty OCD, and that seems horrifying for me. But Riverside Race, yeah, you don't know what's going on until you get the Brash Bear. And then once you go back, it's not hard to set the record. I don't know what Brash Bear was on about, but I didn't set the record at first, which I think is the proper way to do it. You don't want to set the record before you visit Brash Bear, because you want to see both sides of Brash Bear, the side of him that's actually brash, and the side of him that's a whiny little bitch. And you can't do that if you beat his record before you even get to meet the guy. But one of the aspects of the riverbanks, it's half of them are above the water, half of them are below, and I don't know, something about it I don't really like. I like being above the water more than I do below the water, because you're just going through these tight tunnels, and I don't know. I'm thinking about it. The Game Boy Advance version of these stages actually make them more visually enticing than the Super Nintendo, and that's because they're a little bit lighter on the Game Boy Advance. Because the Game Boy Advance version of DKC 3 was graphically the best out of the Game Boy Advance remake trilogy, but they still had to lighten up the graphics in some places, and they pretty much like cut away a lot of the excess foliage in the riverbank stage, and so you actually have sky, and that sky kind of makes all the difference to me. I think I just suffer from seasonal affective disorder, and so having no visible sky in these stages really upsets me. Maybe. Yeah. All right, let's move on to Squeals on Wheels, which is a delightful pun on Meals on Wheels, but it doesn't reach the level of obscene punnery that Donkey Kong Land 3 achieves. Squeals on Wheels is another gimmick stage, another mill gimmick stage, and our third mill stage and our third mill gimmick. And the gimmick on this, it's similar to the millstones in Donkey Kong Country 1 with the naughties on the millstones, except here it's squeals on tiny little hamster wheels, and you essentially have to knock out each sneak. Excuse me, I call them squeals. Sneaks. Squeals on wheels because they squeal because they're fans of the.
It's a really clever pun.
Right. But you have to knock out the sneaks with the steel kegs, and you have meters. And if you have to fill up the meter by knocking out a certain set amount of sneaks on the wheels, and then only then can you go through the door and continue the stage. So essentially, it's kind of like almost a Zelda temple in a little bit, because you have to kind of it's a locked room mystery. You have to find all the components to progress. Granted, it's less complex than a Zelda temple, but it is still, as far as a 2D platformer goes, it's close as we've gotten in the Donkey Kong series. I don't have anything else to say about this stage, do you?
Nope.
Perry's in this stage.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is this our first appearance of...
Yep.
We miss one?
First appearance of Perry. Yeah, I'm thinking back. This is definitely the first time we saw him. And if you get him to the no animal sign, you get a blue Dixie balloon. So, by the way, we didn't mention the Dixie balloons, and this was the third game to continue the tradition of changing up the life balloons. Because Donkey Kong Country, of course, had Donkey Kong's head. Donkey Kong Country 2 had Diddy's head. This game has Dixie's head. I always thought Dixie's balloons were a little bit weird, though, because her eyes are white on the balloons.
Maybe they're alive.
Like Belcha. She's also lacking her most distinguishing feature on her head, which is her ponytail. I always thought the balloon should have a little bit of a ponytail, or they should like rearrange the string to make it like part of her ponytail. I don't know. That's probably too hard to do.
Yeah, they could have tied off a little segment like a balloon animal, made it a ponytail.
Yeah, but yeah, I like that Dixie has her own balloons, which again don't appear in Donkey Kong Land 3 because for some reason that game has Diddy balloons.
Now, apparently, Scrap69 wants us to talk about Perry, so...
Oh.
Spring and Spiders. Let's go on to that level.
No, let's talk about Perry. Let's talk about Perry. Well, we talked about Perry last week, Scraps. You weren't in the live chat last week, Scraps. Shame on you.
Yeah, Scraps.
Now, granted,
we covered the gamut of Perry.
I'm honored that you're celebrating the birthday in your birthday in the Kongversation live stream. It's like we're having a party for you, and we're talking about the first 4 worlds of Donkey Kong Country.
Get your priorities in order, man.
But, I love Perry, Scraps. What do you want me to say? Perry is one of my favorite animal buddies. Look, if I want to be talking about my favorite animal buddies, not necessarily the most iconic. I'd be here all day, but not necessarily the most iconic, but my favorite of the first 3 country games, Donkey Kong Country 1, my favorite would be Winky. Donkey Kong Country 2, my favorite is Squitter. Donkey Kong Country 3, my favorite is Perry. So, yes, I love Perry. He doesn't help you much unless you get him to the no animal sign, but I love how pointless he is otherwise.
I think Perry's a great animal buddy. I mean, my favorite is Nid, but that's just, that's common sense.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about Donkey Kong Country 3, man. You got people trying to argue Nid's an animal buddy. You got people trying to argue Nibla is an animal buddy. I'm tired of it.
They're both
enemies.
Animal buddies.
No, they're enemies. Why don't you just say Belcha's an animal buddy while we're at it? That's as nonsensical as anything.
Wait a second, he might be.
He's a barrel. Kong's like barrels. Why isn't he an animal buddy?
I think that the menu screen at the beginning is an animal buddy.
I think Mike Tyson is an animal buddy. Or rather, the flock of pigeons that always surround his massive 17-inch penis.
Maybe they're parallel birds if they fly parallel to it. Speaking of Nid, though, Spring and Spiders.
Speaking of this, for Spring and Spiders, Nick, I'll let you have this. You're the Nid aficionado on the show tonight. Have at it.
All right. Well, in this level, there is a little so-and-so who helps you spring up and down to advance throughout the level and asks for nothing in return and has the face of a cherub. And his name's Nid. And this is the level where I met him, and we've been happily married for 12 years now. And we're
of course, the
welcoming
state of Arizona has only recently acknowledged your marriage.
Yes. I mean, for a while there, we had to go Nid-cognito a bit. But we're welcoming 2 little Niddles this summer. And, yeah. You could say I'm a knitter.
So I guess you can use that word.
Yeah,
I can't use
only
that
me.
word.
I mean, you could say nidda, but no. Just don't.
I'm not even going to touch this. I was going to say that enjoy your marriage while it lasts, because when President Trump puts Hulk Hogan on the Supreme Court, he might frown upon human and Nid marriages.
Crush the Nid, brother!
Yeah. His he got a lot of hot water on that sex tape when he talked about his daughter dating a Nid, and he used that racial slur that I'm not allowed to use.
If my daughter was a Nid, I would have sex with her. Okay.
Hey, is that the introduction to Nick Prol's Donald Trump impression?
The introduction. First time I've ever done it, you mean?
Yeah.
Possibly.
I still need to, I tried to do a Donald Trump last summer. Didn't go well. And granted, Chad's Donald Trump is completely
Bernie Sanders.
Well, yeah, he essentially was doing Bernie Sanders, but at the time it seemed like a worthwhile Donald Trump impression before Donald Trump's voice was burned into our brains.
Listen, okay, Nid, I don't want to be nitpicky here, okay? But, I don't like Nid, alright? So he's gonna go, alright?
Can you work in a sad for me? Just for me.
You know, Nid is not recognized, okay, as the best animal buddy. Sad, okay? Sad.
It would be funny if we weren't probably going to die in the next 4 years.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, spring and spiders. Yeah, the thing about this stage, besides the nids, is the color scheme of the redwoods, little like violet-y. I remember the redwood trees are less red and kind of veering on the purple side just a little bit. I always thought it was interesting how they would tweak the color scheme in the Donkey Kong Country series to like make each archetype feel fresh whenever you visited it. But it's kind of hard to do with the redwood tree, I guess.
The purple wood tree.
Yeah. So nids. We already talked about nids last week and Karakong talked about them the week before. I'm done talking about nids. Just done with it. All right. Bobbin Barrel Brawl. So this is an Ellie stage, and basically this is another riverbank stage, but in the waters are Niblas, and you have to avoid getting in the water with a Nibla, because Ellie is an animal buddy who floats on the water.
Mm-hmm.
So if she floats on the water and a Nibla's there, the Nibla's going to be eating her. So what you have to do is use steel kegs to, with Ellie, suck them up, put them against your trunk, and then throw them onto the water and create platforms for yourself to get across.
I like
the
this
riverbank.
mechanic.
Yeah, and this is Ellie is one of the most versatile animal buddies.
Yeah.
Because not only can she suck up water, which she does to great effect here, there's actually a water meter on these stages where she can do this. And so she can then have projectiles she can shoot out from her trunk, but she can also bring barrels and kegs to her and use them as weapons or use them for other purposes, as we see here.
Yeah, I like Ellie quite a bit.
Ellie and Squitter are really two of the most versatile
recently
animal buddies.
I saw a headline that said new video game announcement, the return of Ellie, and I got pretty darn excited, but then it was just some stupid Last of Us thing, so fuck that shit.
Yeah. Who the hell played The Last of Us? It's not a classic like Donkey Kong Country 3 or Donkey Kong Land 3 or Donkey Konga or any of these games that Ellie appeared in.
The ambiguous ending of DKC3 is what makes it so good. It really delves into human madness and killing things just for love, It's just, nobody understands it.
What does that eggshell really mean?
I know.
I can't sleep tonight. What does Cranky mean by the end? But the end, it's running. The ink is running off the paper. What does that mean?
Why didn't Nid get a medal at the end?
Carrie Fisher rewarded Chewbacca with something else, if you know what I mean.
He gave her some nids in a way.
I don't know what that means.
Crabs.
Oh. Okay. Yeah. Chewbacca's costume was just covered
in
crabs.
Nids. Yeah.
Okay, Ellie, Squitter, and Squawks. Those are my votes for the most versatile animal buddies of the series.
Right on.
Because everybody else is just smashy, or I'm going to shine a flashlight for you.
Or I'm going to clap my hands together.
Yeah. These animal buddies can do more than one thing, and I like them. And Bob Barrel Brawl, I like this stage too. It's hard to say what's going through this team's head sometimes. I mean, this is the team that gave us a burping giant barrel with human eyes. So compared to that, Eric is much more tame. He's a giant spider, and I think he's supposed to be a giant nid, but
he's very tarantula. He's fuzzy,
but he shoots webs out of his mouth, which isn't really how it works. But
no.
I'll allow it since he's his own breed of spider.
I think he's the most iconic DKC3 boss to me.
I would agree, just because he was featured in the commercials, and I think He's something early on that's stuck in a lot of people's minds.
I just love his design. He's awesome looking.
Yeah, and he's actually, again, one of the most restrained designs in the game.
I like how... Yeah, go ahead.
No, restrained in just the way that it seems like he could have been in the first two games, and it wouldn't have been out of place.
I just love segmented 2D sprite bosses. Like, he looks like something out of a Treasure game or a Castlevania game. Like, the way all his limbs are segmented and animated. Like, he's just awesome.
Yeah. The thing about Eric is that this is also the first time there's a lot of strategy involved with defeating a boss in this game. Because I don't know if like you noticed, but compared to, well, especially compared to Country 1, but even compared to Country 2, the bosses really do like change up their dynamic in this game, and they get harder and harder as they go on. Country 2, yeah, did that, but Country 3 really made a point of like tweaking the boss AI just a bit.
The trilogy's bosses improved with each game.
Yeah, because let's be honest, Country 1's bosses were an afterthought.
We don't even. Yeah, I don't even think.
Besides K-Roll.
Of course.
So anyway, do you have anything like you want to like really talk about as far as like the actual boss fight? Because it's just about.
Not mechanically or anything. I think I've said my piece. I think he's awesome. I think he looks great. He's a classic boss.
Yeah, he is, and
better than Goma.
That's true. Fuck you.
Fucking Homa, more like it.
Oh, that's not cool, Nick.
I can't slut shame a spider. You're right. That's got to be one of our new taglines on the site, by the way. You can't slut shame a spider.
Oh yeah, I guess we're bringing back the random site mottos here in a week or two. So look forward to that. All right, so beating Eric, you actually got an item that for the overworld map screen, and it's a patch.
Yeah, it's just like, when you squash a spider, usually in that goo puddle you find a little band-aid. I would never do that because I'm a member of PETA, but still, it's realistic.
Right. I mean, that's where most modern medicine came from. That's how we discovered the bandage.
Yeah, was, inside spiders.
Right. Most bandages are made from ground up spiders and their webs. So
if you work at a hospital, you hear it all the time. Like, I need a tarantula stat.
Yeah. Now I'm thinking about all those email like chains and rumors that went around at the onset of the internet, where people would like tell stories about spiders like laying eggs underneath the skin, and then like they would hatch at night.
Oh yeah.
And like, yeah.
The good old days.
Yeah, when fake news was just gross stuff like that, and nothing that destabilized Western democracy. Oh, the good old days.
Bring back spiders.
Yeah,
make America creepy crawly again.
When we just thought the worst thing that could happen was having spiders crawling underneath our skin.
Yeah,
oh,
that's a.
Those were the days. So, getting the patch, you can then give it to Funky Kong, and he can patch his hovercraft, giving you your second vehicle and your new mode of transportation to progress north on the map screen over the rocks to the next two worlds.
So there are upgrades in this game. It's like an RPG.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there are RPG elements on the map screen. Granted, it's not like a complex RPG, but it's still pretty fucking cool for a 2D platformer. Now, getting the hovercraft, you, which, by the way, the Donkey Kong Universe introduction to hovercrafts, which, of course, they would really have their time to shine 1 year after this in Diddy Kong Racing. But this was again the introduction to the concept to what a hovercraft was for me, I believe, and because I mean I didn't know what a hovercraft is not really a typical mode of transportation.
No.
So maybe this came out a few years later, like they would have like an aquatic Segway or something, or whatever the hell the Diddy Kong Racing Adventure crew at Climax were cooking up for vehicles in that game, because they had some weird choices in that one.
You never know.
You never know. So here's what's interesting about the next two worlds. For the first time in series history, you could choose which world to play next.
Pretty damn cool.
Yeah, so I'm well aware, okay? I am well aware that the official chronology here, it's supposed to be Cotton-Top Cove and then Mekanos. But here's the problem. Mekanos is going to be the world you pass first. Mekanos is its own little island in the middle of the lake. Cotton-Top Cove is off to the left. You have to pass Mekanos before you get to Cotton-Top Cove. So naturally, if you don't have a player's guide, if you don't have anything to tell you which world is next, you're going to think Mekanos is the third world. And keep in mind,
it doesn't really matter which order you do them in, right?
It doesn't really matter. I think Cotton-Top Cove is a little easier in places if it is supposed to be the third world, and Mekanos is a little bit more difficult. But it doesn't matter. And this, in the original Donkey Kong Country trilogy, they didn't do the convention of naming things World 1-1.
Thank God.
World 1-2, you know, or Level 1-2, Level 6-3, you know. Not allowed here. This is a safe space. And it's one thing I don't really like about the retro country games, because I feel like it clutters. It's unnecessary clutter. You don't need it. But you could choose which one to play as. So I picked Mekanos as World 3, and I think that is the logical progression, even if I fully admit it's not what it's actually intended. I will defend to my own death my right to play it in this order.
Oh, you have the right to be wrong, of course.
And you know what, Nick? It's my show, so we're going to be wrong on this episode, and we're going to be talking about Mekanos next.
I literally have no stance on this, so I'm just playing Chaos's advocate here.
One reason I will argue for Mekanos coming first, despite the fact that it is before Cotton-Top Cove on the map. I like that you go into the harshness of Mekanos, and then you go into the beauty of Cotton-Top Cove. Cotton-Top Cove is a nice palate cleanser after the industrial grime of Mekanos. So that is my only reason for saying get Mekanos over with first. I also like that it shows you chaos earlier in the game rather than at the strict halfway point.
Gotcha.
Because you would next fight chaos in World 7, so I think it makes more sense to fight him in World 3. Otherwise, you're going to be fighting chaos much quicker again. And I like that it sets the mood for what chaos is and what chaos could be. Anyway, enough said. Let's talk about Fireball Frenzy. So this is the first factory stage, and unlike the factory stages in the original Donkey Kong Country, which I love, by the way, I love just the way they feel. I can't really describe it. It's kind of like this modern industrial kind of punk rock feel. The factories in this stage are much more Victorian in design. They're Dickinsonian. Maybe
They feel more like a boiler room or something.
Yeah, I don't know. They're much more English in any regard. Where I feel like the factories,
dungeon.
Yeah, I feel like the factories in Donkey Kong Country 1 are much more universal in their aesthetic. This does feel like an English factory during the Industrial Revolution, where little grimy children would be working.
It's like a forge or something.
Yeah, exactly. And the only grimy children here are Kiddy Kong and his pink flesh that gets filthy. But yeah, there's vats of molten lava, or I guess it's not lava, it's steel here. It's like what they dropped Arnold Schwarzenegger in at the end of Terminator 2, and give the thumbs up. I give the thumbs up to Fireball Frenzy because not only is this our introduction to Carbine, which, as we mentioned last week, it's a... actually, I the more I thought about this, the more I'm pretty sure he's a reference to the original Clash of the Titans. But,
yeah, Bubo.
Yeah, which makes me wonder if he's supposed to be mechanical in nature. Didn't bring that up last time, but are they supposed to be little mechanical owls?
Oh, you didn't think so? I definitely think. I've never thought they were real owls.
Okay, for some reason I thought they were real owls with just a really cool design, and now I'm actually leaning towards the fact that they're probably mechanical, considering they replaced
I've always
that
felt like Autumn Heights was our first real owl stage.
Yeah, well, we had Booker in Donkey Kong 64, but he wasn't really a bad guy.
Fuck Booker. Fuck his whole family. Tie him up, leave him in a back alley, and slit his throat.
Whoa!
I'm just kidding. I don't even remember Booker.
He was the owl from off of Donkey Kong 64.
Oh, I know. I just don't. Just wanted to go hardcore against him.
You really went hardcore with that one. I was like, I've never met anyone with such a strong stance against Booker the Owl from Donkey Kong 64.
But now if I replay that game and see Booker, I'll just laugh and think about how much I hate him.
By the way, Booker is just a name we gave him. I don't know if he was named after the Booker T. Washington or Booker T. the professional wrestler or what, but he was named Booker. Maybe, I guess, because he was an owl and owls are bookish. So, but
yeah, maybe carbines are real owls. I don't know. I like to imagine they're little robots.
Maybe he is, but you've won me over on the robot argument. So by the way, we named him Booker because we have to have a name for him. Guess what Mario Wiki calls the owl from Donkey Kong 64?
Tootsie Roll Pop Sage.
No, they called him Owl, parentheses, character.
Okay.
Yeah. Mario
So,
Wiki.
not exactly Mensa members over at Mario Wiki.
Well, maybe they are the Mensa members. Maybe we're the ones who erroneously
Yeah,
are just
fuck
going around
Mensa.
naming things. I want to slit every member of Mensa's throat and tie them up in a back alley to die. All right. This is the idiocracy now, Nick. No smarty pants allowed.
Yeah.
Fireball Frenzy. Anyway, I love Carbine. And they're in the background of Fireball Frenzy shooting their molten balls at you. And I do wonder what it would look like if they were the original conception of those robot enemies that we saw the render of in Nintendo Power.
Yeah, and we still don't know if Carbine is Crosshair or if Crosshair is the robot or what. Yeah.
Yeah, but I do think they replaced those robotic enemies because somebody said, dude, remember Clash from the Titans? We should do that now.
Dude, remember Wrath of the Titans? And there was silence.
Dude, that movie wasn't made yet because that's the sequel to the reboot. Dude, why is Funky Kong talking like here right now? Why is Funky Kong making her own game? Are we in the Matrix? What's happening? And then Bizarre Bear shows up.
How y'all doing?
I'm gonna fuck a chicken!
Look at me, I'm Caliban. I have hooves.
Caliban?
Isn't that his name? The evil goat man in Clash of the Titans?
Oh, okay, sorry. I was thinking Osama bin Laden.
I'm the Taliban!
Hey, I'm Osama bin Laden. I live in a cave. Hey, baby, I'm Bill Clinton now. I can only do one voice. Boobies. Hey, I'm Donald Trump. This is the only voice I can do. Yeah!
Hey, I'm Bernie Sanders, baby.
Hey, baby,
I
I'm
did
Bernie
not
Sanders.
have sex with that socialist government.
Hey, baby, I'm Bernie Sanders. I just want to give you free college so we can get more hot sororities and I can have pillow fights with them that get very sensual. Oh, boy, feel the burn. You'll be feeling the burn after I give it to you. I have STDs.
You'll be feeling the burn when I shove a cigar up your cooch.
I can't believe the Kongversation hasn't won any awards yet. Every end of year list for best podcast of the year, I look with bated breath.
I want an award with my name spelled wrong on it.
Yeah, they would spell it wrong too, because Prol is a unusual last name. You would get an H in there.
Yeah, they'll be like Dave Grohl, Prol. All right, here you go, foo.
Like Nick Kroll, the guy who had the comic with the beady eyes, who's dating Amy Poehler. That Nick Prol. Oh, yeah, Nick Kroll.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean the guy from Cavemen, the hit sitcom.
I mean Dave Grohl, the guy who didn't shoot himself in Nirvana. Speaking of music, we should point out that the factory stages in this game clearly use Kashmir from Led Zeppelin as the influence for their song, and
mixed with some industrial sounds.
Oh, I can't sing Kashmir, or else YouTube will pull this. All right. Demolition Drain Pipe.
Drain the swamp.
Drain my pipe, baby. So this is the second stage of Mekanos, but it is the first of the Drain Pipe archetype. And you want to talk about
these stages.
Yeah, you want to talk about weird niche archetypes. This is another.
They remind me of Yoshi's Story for some reason. I remember there being drain pipe levels in that game.
Yeah. They're I mean, I don't even know. I guess they remind me of Ninja Turtle games for the NES.
Sure.
They kind of remind me of sewers.
Also remind me of Comic Zone for the Sega Genesis.
I didn't play that. I know what you're talking about, but I didn't play it.
Yeah, it's a cool game. Like every, you basically jump from panel to panel. Sometimes you even get like ripped through the side of panels, and every time you attack something, there's like bam, whiff, pow, and it's pretty cool. It's hard though.
Yeah.
But it has that awesome 90s squelchy Genesis soundtrack. It's like...
Yeah.
It's really cool. Okay.
Which is... They really just had tiny men inside the Genesis farting.
Yeah.
It's what Kenny Baker did between Star Wars trilogies.
Poor Kenny. Always having to fit inside some sort of console.
Yeah, and apparently Anthony Daniels, the guy who plays C-3PO, was always an unrepentant dick to him, too.
Oh, wow. So, like the characters.
Like the characters, except without the homoerotic undertones.
Yeah.
Because Carrie Fisher was inside that robot. She was just... Yeah, everybody was fucking on the set of Star Wars. That's what I like to imagine. Yeah, well, you know, Billy D. Williams shows up with the Colt 45. It does work every time. So, anyway, this is a toboggan stage as well. And so this is a twofer. Toboggans are the replacements, or not the replacement, well, essentially the replacement, but the new on-rail type stage for Donkey Kong Country 3, replacing the roller coaster, which replaced the minecart, at least temporarily. Of course, minecarts have come back with a vengeance since Retro got their hands on the series.
Oh, yeah.
But I like that toboggan is a weird choice, but it also it's one that fits for Donkey Kong Country 3.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
You'd think it would be in the snow level, but oh well.
Well, there is a toboggan in a snow level, but yeah, I like that they could get so weird with it that they could say, oh, it also works in a greased up drain pipe. Sure.
It's very Calvin and Hobbes.
It makes how so?
Don't they ride a toboggan quite frequently?
Oh, I don't know. All I know about Calvin is he likes pissing on things.
Oh yeah, that's the true version of Calvin right there. And I want to get Chad's idea from a staff chat half a year ago of Calvin peeing on Calvin peeing on Calvin peeing. He even did a mock-up, and I would get it on my car.
I think I mentioned that one idea we had for the Patreon stickers was Conker pissing on the DK Vine logo, and
it makes sense.
It was Chad's love for Calvin and Hobbes that kept him from going with that idea. I fought for it, but he vetoed it on his end.
Well, let this shout out be for you, Chad, in more ways than one, because Calvin and Hobbes is special.
Look, I'm a fan of the Intimidator, Dale Earnhardt, and sometimes I want to see Calvin from off of Calvin and Hobbes pissing on Jeff Gordon's number, okay?
I'm just an American, okay?
Fords are better than Chevy because Henry Ford supported the Nazis. Heil Hitler.
Okay.
I like how you do just... Yeah. Now that's going to be edited out of context. But here's the thing. You can edit that proclamation out of context. And when I run for president, it won't hurt me. Because nothing will hurt you anymore when you run for president.
Yeah.
You just have to go all in with being terrible, apparently. Okay, I'm sorry, everybody. I know we keep taking it back to the election. I said we wouldn't do this, and we've been doing it. I'm a poor podcast host. I realize this.
I would say that you're pretty weak, okay? You're pretty weak. Sad how weak you are. In fact, I've heard other podcasts, great podcasts, huge podcasts, and they're pretty great.
You're earning your keep, Nick. This Trump impression is gold. Gold plated.
Orange,
I mean, everything is gold plated.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, his toilets are gold. His sofa is gold. But yes, he himself is gold at this point. All right. So anyway, where were we? Oh yeah, the greased up drain pipes and the toboggans that ride in them. So yeah, it makes more sense than a roller coaster in a haunted library. That's for sure. And
yes.
Yeah. And this is basically just an out of control toboggan ride through the drain pipe, and you have to avoid the buzzes that are everywhere, and there's knickknacks and flying knickknacks, and you have to just go through the small orifices throughout the greased up drain pipe. And I just realized during this episode that saying greased up drain pipe is one of my favorite sayings of all time, and I might have to use that out of context from here on out.
Smack her with a greased up drain pipe. The art for the thumbnail this week is from a really cool render of this stage.
Yeah, it's of them careening down a drain pipe with buzzes and
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Sorry.
It's better than Mike Tysoning.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Anything else you'd like to add about demolition drain pipe or the drain pipe levels or the toboggan?
No, pretty much added as we went along. Cool stage.
Ripsaw Rage. This is one of them environmental stages with a message to teach. So this is one of the stages that really enticed me when I was learning stuff about Donkey Kong Country 3, because I was promised from the outset a giant saw that chases you through a redwood. And this did not disappoint. Now, much has been made over the years of the fact that the redwood is somehow sawing through the trees going upwards in a way that makes no goddamn sense.
Could be a giant mechanical machine.
Right, but why wouldn't you just saw the bottom of the redwoods? How is it sawing up through the redwoods, going up?
You could saw in sideways at first, take a turn, and then start going up.
But why? Why would any lumberjack do this? Speaking of Dexter,
no, they normally go down.
Lumberjack do this?
They normally go down or across, but they saw the Kongs trying to climb the trees, and they're trying to kill them.
Okay, I guess that's the best explanation, is that the rip saw was already there, and they were going to start cutting the forest, but then they saw the Kong, so it became, let's murder the Kongs right here and right now. I wonder what the lumberjacks look like, what the lumberjack Kremlings look like. I would imagine just a beefy Kremling wearing flannel, and one of those maybe flappy flannel hats with the flaps on the side,
Crisley Adams.
Okay, I like that. We'll go with that. Crisley Adams. All right. This is basically this is similar to those creeping terror stages from Donkey Kong Country 2, like a slime climb or toxic tower. Same principle here, but there is one point that I always remember. It's a bonus stage where you get to get an invincibility barrel and basically run across the saw, which is such a cathartic moment.
Yeah,
Ripsaw Rage. It's one of those levels that I was really looking forward to, because it was hyped from the beginning, and I don't think it disappointed. It lived up to the legend. Next is Blazin' Bazookas, which sounds like a Cheech and Chong wartime movie, but it is actually another
which in the
factory
document
stage.
you have Blazing Bakukas, which sounds
Do I?
like some porno or something. Anyway, Blazing Bukaki. Let's get back to it.
So the bazookas, the introduction of bazookas, the little red Kremlins with the giant cannons, and the gimmick of this stage is essentially utilize them to get, you gotta avoid their attacks, but you can also put their barrels or kegs to your own benefit. You can cross chasms, or this is also how you defeat the coin of this stage by using the kegs that they shoot. Yeah, anything you want to add about Blazing Bukaki?
Feels good.
Depends on which receiving end of it you're on. If you're on the receiving end, or if you're anyway.
Either way.
Logi Labyrinth.
Oh, this is an interesting gimmick.
This is a great gimmick, and not only is this a stage that has a unique mechanism, but it's also the return of Quox, the purple parrot.
You telling me Quox is in this game, but Squawks isn't?
Squawks is in this game.
Oh, when's he in this game?
He's actually in this stage as well. There's a bonus area where Squawks is playable.
Well, Quox is better. So.
Quox is definitely for the hardcore Donkey Kong nerds. Referencing Quox will put us on your good side any day of the week. But yeah, I like that Quox comes back because, the purple parrots in Parrot Shoot Panic of Donkey Kong Country 2 and Donkey Kong Land 2, it's one of those things that, well, I guess they're animal buddies, but, okay, that was weird. So the fact that they're brought back and utilized more just makes them more official. And but it's still, I remember during the time of this game, like the player's guide and all the reference materials just referred to the purple parrots as Squawks or purple Squawks, which I hated. And granted, during this time, I was calling them Squeaks and Flapper. The Quawks name came about with Donkey Kong Barrel Blast, which is where they finally, at least in all territories, had the name Quawks. And of course, then we also had a second purple parrot, which we then renamed Squawk. Because if we're going to go with that lazy name, we got to go with an even lazier name for the second one.
Of course.
But the gimmick of this stage, it's that you're in a drain pipe and there's a green gas inside of it that essentially makes you moonwalk. It increases your jumping ability and it slows you down. So it's like you're on the surface of another planet. And what's really cool about this stage is the implication of the canon and what it says about Donkey Kong Country 2. Because you remember in Donkey Kong Country 2, Nick, K-Rool had those gases he would shoot out of his blunderbuss that would impede your movement.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
Well, I think it shows that those gases were developed on the island of Mekanos in these pipes. This is the Kremlin gas factory.
That makes sense.
That makes sense. I mean, that's my fanon theory, but I think it adds up, because where else is K-Rool going to get those funky gases from? Unless he plays the Sega Genesis and he has Kenny Baker farting for him. Why are we so hung up on bodily functions this week?
I don't know. I think you are more than me, but I'll take the blame too.
No, it's me. You're right. I think it's because I'm living in nostalgia. I'm in the moment in 1996, and I'm a 13-year-old boy all over again. And let's be honest, farts are funny.
Sure.
All right, Nick, we'll just stick with the Bukaki jokes. If it makes you happy.
Hey, if you hadn't misspelled it in the document, I wouldn't have made that joke.
I didn't put it as Bukaki.
Bakuka, Bukaki. It's all...
Let's call the whole thing off.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about Chaos Carnage. The first Chaos boss fight of the game. And our introduction to Chaos. And the fact that he was actually a giant ugly cyborg thing and not this badass military leader. This was a disappointment, I've got to admit. I was a little aghast when we fought Chaos this early. I should have seen a twist coming, but I didn't put it together. I was like, we're fighting Chaos already? Wait, it's a robot? What? But as far as the actual
him being
boss
a
fight
robot
goes,
really a twist if you knew nothing about him?
No. The twist of K. Rool being the final boss.
Oh, gotcha,
and also Donkey and Diddy being inside of Chaos. Spoilers. Sorry. But we didn't know Chaos was a robot at this time. So, like I said, I pictured some badass, like, military dude. And it turned out it was just, again, this unappealing-looking cartoon robot. But the boss fight itself is really fun. And
I think Chaos is cool.
It
looks like he's wearing sunglasses, so it's pretty cool to me.
Yeah, but when you're introduced to him, he's got that helmet that he shoots.
Yeah. Which looks just like a Futurama character.
Yeah, he does look like a Futurama robot, which is funny because this is 3 years before Futurama.
Or Gato from Chrono Trigger.
I've never played Chrono Trigger. It's burned into my brain because Nintendo Power made such a big deal about Chrono Trigger back during the time of Donkey Kong Country 2. And I remember it was always fighting with Donkey Kong Country 2 on the power charts, where Nintendo Power would arbitrarily have like the top 20 games on a system. And it was always like, oh, fuck you, Chrono Trigger. I need to give it a shot. I don't even have time to play the games I am obsessed about anymore.
Yeah. It's a shame.
I don't have time to play. Yeah, it is a shame. My life is a shame. But so Chaos's helmet flies off and shoots laser beams, and I like that there's different elements, different tiers to the Chaos fight that continues into the final fight in World 7. It reminds me of the K. Rool battle in Donkey Kong Country 2, how the bulk of it's on a flying croc, but he would resume the last portion of it in the Lost World. It's very much the same way with Chaos. The bulk of the fight is in Mekanos, but then you would have one more tier of it in Castle Chaos.
Very much so.
And there's dialogue in this boss fight.
I know. Isn't that awesome?
That's the first time that happened in the Donkey Kong Country series.
It's very GBA
so Chaos
of them.
Talks. Yeah, that's something that the Game Boy Advance team overkilled was the amount of dialogue that would come up. But this was all just bzz, bzz. I am a robot. I am Chaos. Destroy Kongs. Primary objective: destroy Primate. Shit like that. That's not verbatim, but yeah, I like the Chaos fight. I think it was the most fun fight up to this point in the game. Ooh, I mean, I know you like Eric, and I like Eric too.
Not
and I like
gameplay
Belcha.
wise.
Gameplay wise, I would say Chaos is the most fun. But that's my standpoint, and I'm a weirdo who likes to play Mekanos before Cotton-Top Cove. So what do I know?
You kinky freak.
The Brothers Bear, by the way, in Mekanos is Brigadier Bazooka Bear. And, of course, you can't really utilize his primary function until you get that damn bowling ball. And so this is really where the fetch quest kind of RPG-style gameplay comes into play with the Brothers Bear. Bazooka Bear is essentially useless at this point in time, but I like that it plants the seeds of, okay, he's got a cannon, how do we use the cannon? And he also mentions the Crimean War, which of course is a great bit of lore building and backstory that I still fantasize about, even though I'm fully aware that no team in Nintendo will ever deem it worthy of ever discussing again. We have a better chance of Rare bringing it up in a non-Donkey Kong game than we do Nintendo bringing it up.
Probably.
Unfortunately. Cotton-Top Cove! We are now in the true World 3, but what I call World 4, because I'm a terrible human being who heiled Hitler earlier in the episode. Baza's Blockade. Whatever. The first coral stage of the game. Lake Coral. Saltwater Lake Coral. Whatever it is.
Gotta love that coral.
People love the coral. I underestimated how much people love the coral. For whatever reason, the coral never really... I recognized how beautiful it was, but I think I don't know. It never. I think I was more entranced by things like the waterfall stages, the redwoods, and so the coral kind of slipped under my radar. And it wasn't until DK Vine became a thing and people were talking about this game on DK Vine that I realized how beloved the coral stages were. And I can see it. I'm not arguing with it whatsoever. When we put up our new Donkey Kong Country 3 site design, brilliantly designed by Cameron, and implemented by Matt, we didn't have the coral on the bottom for the first couple days, and people kept saying, well, there should be coral. Why isn't there coral? You fucks! Why isn't there coral? I'm rescinding my Patreon pledge. I hope you all die with your throats slit, tied up in a back alley. And then we added the coral, and people were happy. So. Don't mess with people's coral. And also, you know what people's favorite Walking Dead character is?
Coral.
No, it's Daryl. Why would people like coral? I don't know. So this is the introduction to the Barracuda Baza, and actually this is their introduction, and I think it's their only appearance.
Really? In the whole game?
Yeah, this is their only appearance. Yeah. Now that I think about it.
That's unique.
No, Scraps is telling me terrible joke, Hyle. You have to be more specific, Scraps. You have to be more specific. So anyway, the gimmick of this stage is essentially avoid the Bazas, and they swim in formation from one like cubby hole in the coral to another across the screen. And they come at you in waves of 3 and 4, and you essentially just have to sort out the pattern they swim in and avoid them. And it's a lot of just, traditional platforming, predictive movements and whatnot. Stuff that goes all the way back to Space Invaders. Just you've got to know not where they are, but where they're going to be.
Yes.
To paraphrase Futurama. But yeah, the music. Do you want to talk about the music of the choral stages? Because this is another favorite.
Yeah, it's really kind of spooky.
Spooky. It's serene. Like all of these stages have, or not all, but most of these stages and map screens have serene music that has an undercurrent of not really eeriness, but it's kind of this
menace.
Again, a fear of the unknown. And I think it's because the Northern Hemisphere, you really don't know what you're getting yourself into. Donkey Kong Island is friendly territory. Crocodile Isle is enemy territory, so you know it's going to be menacing. The Northern Hemisphere, you really don't know what you're going to get or what's going to be around the corner. And you have all of these new types of Kremlins that are weird and bizarre. Not the bear, but just bizarre in general. And so I think the Evelyn Fisher's musical choices in this game really do wonders.
For sure.
To help convey that spirit. What's next? Oh yeah, a rocket barrel ride. This is one of my favorite stages in the game. This is the first waterfall stage, and these are absolutely breathtaking.
Yeah,
and
these are my favorites in the whole game.
I think this is where the team really flexes their graphical muscles the best, even more so than the choral stage in my mind. The background, there's no sky here, but the background is lively, it's bright, it's visually interesting, and I love the archetype of just massive waterfalls that you have to scale. It's a unique idea. It's taking something that would just be one background element in a game, in a level, say, and spinning an entire concept out of it. They're really working for their paychecks here.
Just love that music. Oh, sorry. One thing that sucks is if you fall really far down and have to redo a lot of it.
You do. Thankfully, this is not Donkey Kong Land 1, where you die when you fall off the screen if the screen can't catch up with you. And I was playing Donkey Kong Land 3 again the other week, and I was playing the waterfall stages in that game. And granted, we'll save our full discussion for that on the Donkey Kong Land 3 Spotlight episode next fall. But I remember falling down a waterfall stage. I was like, oh no! And then I realized, oh no, this isn't the first Donkey Kong Land. I'm not going to be punished for this. Besides having to work my way backwards. But yeah, that's one of the big tenets of the waterfall stages is you're scaling up and up and up and up, and you're going to fall. It reminds me of the mine shaft stages in Donkey Kong Country 2 a little bit, in that it's a constant scaling, and you can fall, and you will have to work your way back up.
But yeah, Perry does show up in this level.
This is the one I think of when I think of Perry the most.
Me too.
And I think that's because
she's utilized in the coolest way, or he.
The gauntlet you have to run with Perry in this stage, I think, is the most arduous, because I just remember so many buzzes and whatnot. Perry adds an interesting gameplay wrinkle to everything, because you have this entity that you have to take into account. It's essentially what it's doing is it's creating this extra hitbox that makes your character like 9 feet tall. And so it with like a small gap in the middle where you, like, let's say like you were a 9 foot tall man with an invisible neck, or an intangible neck. That's what playing with Perry is like. So if Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, if his neck died but the rest of him was still alive, he had a ghost neck.
It's kind of like what playing with
the
long requested giraffe animal buddy might be like.
Canopy, yeah, who does appear in Donkey Kong Country Returns, but not as a playable animal buddy, because Retro likes the tease, but they don't like to put out.
No.
All right, let's move on to Creeping Clasp. What, a dock stage again? We're back. So while dock stages are primarily associated with like Orangatanga, one does pop up in Cotton-Top Cove, and
makes sense.
The gimmick of this stage is that not only is there a Nibbler swimming in the water below, but you're on ropes to keep out of the water, and there's clasp on the ropes. So clasp being the TNT-clad Kremlin in a barrel that hang off ropes. And like you pointed out last week, how do they keep the barrels on themselves? And either they like I said, they use their feet, or maybe there's an elaborate system of strap-on devices to keep the barrels on them.
No comment. Like Rivers Cuomo, I'm tired of sex.
Like this river, you have a Nibbler swimming in you.
Yes, that's true.
Tracker Barrel Trek. It's the worst Star Trek series, but it's a quite okay level of Donkey Kong Country 3. This is another waterfall stage. It's also a quite prominent Ellie stage, and it's also the Tracker Barrels stage. So Tracker Barrels are barrels with T's on them with arrows, and essentially they're heat-seeking barrels, I guess, in that they follow your movement. Now, for most of this level, you play as Ellie, which is a little bit unwieldy, but luckily you can suck up the water from the waterfall and shoot the enemies.
That's what I liked. I thought that was cool. I couldn't even figure it out at first. I was like, oh, you can do that?
I like how all these elements, these elements come together in these stages. So when we talk about gimmickry of Donkey Kong Country 3, it sounds like a bad thing at first, like we're shaming the game in some way, but we're not. The thing about when the gimmickry really shines is when they take all these disparate elements. Okay, Ellie can suck up water. Okay, we have tracker barrels. Okay, we're scaling this waterfall. And they put them all together in this package. And yeah, the platforming might not be as tight as Donkey Kong Country 2, but there's an intelligence behind the way they design these stages that I think really should be lauded more when people talk about this game. And, you know, we say Donkey Kong Country 3 might not be as fun of a game as Donkey Kong Country 2, but in a lot of ways it is a better game, even if it's not recognized as a better game. So there's a paradox here, and I think this is where the paradox lies. The gimmickry they come up with is brilliant at times.
Absolutely.
And just because the gameplay isn't as crunchy and tight, crunchy as, again, our friend Josh from Off the Geek Critique would say, just because it isn't as tight doesn't mean it's not quite as fun. So, yeah, Tracker Barrel Trek. Also, as far as waterfall stages go, the waterfall, the colors here are muted in an almost sickly pallor. It's not as beautiful as the first waterfall stage. It kind of looks like everything is muted. It's much more winter-like colors, which is funny because we do have a winter waterfall stage coming up in the fifth world, which we'll discuss next week. Fish Food frenzy. This is a controversial stage, if for no other reason than the Nid stage was controversial, in that people use this as an argument that Nibula is an animal buddy. Because in this stage, you have a Nibula that follows you around from beginning to end, and it has to be constantly fed. If you feed it with enemy drones, it will not harm you. But the second it gets hungry and turns it back to its traditional colors, because when it's pacified, it's this pleasant blue. But as it turns more and more red, the hungrier it gets. And when it becomes red, it will try to eat you.
Like Murky Mill, this is an annoying level, but I'm so glad it exists. It's really cool.
It's a really clever gimmick. And again, it's taking the built-in infrastructure of a character, in this case, enemy drone Nibula, and breaking the rules, much like it broke the rules for Ellie in Murky Mill. It's doing something different with it because it makes sense in the logic of the universe of the game, which is something we didn't really see a whole lot of in the first two Country games. So again, this is this team having the time to kind of look at the characters and the way this world breathes and operates, and saying, but what if we did this with it just this one time? And it's really clever, and I like it.
Me too.
Nibula likes to eat cocos, apparently. So, clownfish. Would you eat a clown, Nick, if you were starving and the only thing you had to eat was a dead clown? Would you cook and eat its flesh?
Depends on the clown. We talking a juggalo? Because I don't want to get like food poisoning or something.
No, it would have to be. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of pleasant juggalos. To be honest, we rag on juggalos, as one is wont to do, but juggalos, there are a lot of juggalos that do a lot of good for their community. And I'm sure there's a lot of juggalos who bathe and shower. And those juggalos I wouldn't mind eating if I had to. But, I was thinking, Cesar Romero would probably be the tastiest Joker. But
little
then,
hairy.
You've got that mustache.
Yeah.
Little hairy. And, so you'd have to, really, skin him first. And I don't really want to put that effort into it. Heath Ledger would just kind of be a dirty, grimy, again, it would be like what you would fear the worst of when you would eat a juggalo. Wouldn't want to eat Heath Ledger. Although, at least the meat is already prepared for you. You wouldn't have to butcher him.
And Jared Leto already butchered the Joker already, so that would be easy to eat.
Jared Leto, you would get food poisoning. Yeah. Jared Leto, if it was up to him, he would let you eat part of him without telling you. So I think, in conclusion to this weird tangent, Jack Nicholson is the Joker I would eat.
Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Ha ha.
All the way down in your belly, you would hear that. That would be delightful. I mean, that would make you happy, right?
And then you'd be like, I need an enema.
But you would really pull off some sick dance moves, some Prince songs. So
true.
It'd be a good trade-off.
Trust.
Who do ya trust? I've also accepted Party Man.
Of course.
Black and white, red and green, the funkiest thing you've ever seen.
Vicky Vale, Vicky Vale, Vicky Vale.
All right, so what else we got? Oh, Squirt.
Oh,
we gotta talk about Squirt.
Fuck yeah.
Squirt's Showdown.
Oh, I love me some
talk
Squirt.
About Squirt. What the fuck is Squirt?
I don't
Nick?
know, Hyle. I was hoping you could tell me. In fact, speaking of fear of the unknown, holy shit!
All right, let's go to the live stream chat. Help us out.
What is Squirt, guys? What is Squirt?
Perhaps ladies. What is Squirt? Is Squirt some sort of slug? Is he a crab monster?
Is he the wall of the mountain itself just come to life? Is he a snail peeking out?
Why is Squirt inherently disgusting? For some reason, because I have a phobia of I am Gibbon says Jesus. Who knows what Squirt is? I don't think he's Jesus. I mean, that would be a really weird second coming. That would be like that X-Files season 8 episode where there was that cult that thought the second coming was this weird slug creature, and they put it in the spine of its victims, so it would take over as a host and then lead them to the promised land.
I believed in that for a
episode,
while,
Nick?
but then I saw the light.
Yeah, it's a mollusk of some sort, but he's got the eyes on stalks, and I got to be honest, Nick, eyes on stalks always creep me out.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about it.
Snaily. It's very snaily.
He's snaily of some sort, but again, he's part of the Kremlin crew, and they don't necessarily have to line up with anything in nature. Like, zingers are their own type of bee/hornet/wasp that make honey. They're a weird hybrid, so zingers are their own thing, so there's nothing to say that Squirt gonna be his own thing. He's a weird type of Kremlin-affiliated mollusk.
What if his eyes and his mouth are like
Lord,
separate entities that can crawl around all over the mountainside and then like...
I don't like it. Jesus, Nick.
Sorry.
You know, some people are scared of spiders, and like the mere mention of Eric would have sent them off the deep end.
Hashtag bring back the spiders.
You're really gonna try to make that work. Hashtag bring back the spiders. You know what, Nick? I'm gonna help you out. I'm going at the top of every episode in Due Diligence. We are going to remind people to hashtag bring back the spiders from this point on.
Oh God,
Hashtag
what have I
bring
wrought?
back the spiders. This is going to be the way DK Vine fights the fake news epidemic. Instead, we need to bring back fake stories of spiders crawling under people's skin. It's the only way we can restore a liberal democracy.
And the only true mascot of this movement, Nid.
Squirt is also one of the only times you fight a boss with an animal buddy. This is Ellie's time to shine. Of course, Squawk's got that honor in Donkey Kong Country 2 and Donkey Kong Land 2. But I like when they, of course, this is also not the first, or not the last time an animal buddy fights a boss in this game, but it's the first time it happens. So, but I like when they let animal buddies fight bosses. It makes them more part of the team.
For sure.
You know?
Plus, it takes someone as mighty as Ellie to take out an abomination against nature like Squirt.
It takes an elephant to take out an Obama nation.
That's true. An elephant
See what I did there?
versus Obama. Yeah, well done.
Political humor. So, I also like the implication that Dixie and Kitty are just like, all right, fuck it, we're taking this one off.
Well, because they're scared to death of Squirt. I mean,
Right.
to quote
But it's
the,
like, let's let this.
the obnoxious internet meme, they probably saw him and went, nope.
Right. I'm surprised. Are there any memes of Squirt that just say nope? Because you think
That would be a good use of that meme, I gotta say. Nope.
I just like the implication though that like because Ellie is essentially like a pet, you know, and so it would be like if you had a home intruder. And instead of, like, confronting the home intruder yourself, you would let your gerbil handle the situation.
Go get him, Gear. Go get him.
Yeah, that intruder was Richard Gere, yes. Then the situation would resolve itself in sexy ways.
It'd be kind of like Squirt. In some ways, too.
Oh, God. Blue Bear is the brother bear in Cotton-Top Cove. And I forgot his birthday again this year.
Oh no, he's probably killed himself.
So yeah, I would like to like have the promise of a Donkey Kong Country game where Blue Bear comes back, but he's only in the first stage because you go into his cabin or wherever he's holed up, and you just see his feet hanging from the top of the screen, like swinging back and forth. So yeah, I forgot Blue's birthday again this year, but I'm not gonna forget Scraps' birthday. Scraps, happy
birthday, Scraps.
We got some calls in the old call sack that we've got to answer. This is about Donkey Kong Country 3. We got I think 4 calls this week. Nick and I will be on hand to respond to them after the fact. So take it away, first caller.
Hello, everyone. Oh, I guess Hyle and whoever's on the show today. I'm gonna guess it's Matt Corna because I like him a lot. He's really cool, and he shared with and me and him had so incident with a canoe full of ducks. But I won't talk about that. But today I want to talk about DKC3 again, since I know I was playing it live on my last call. Today I'm going to sing you a classic from DKC3. One of the best songs ever made from, what's her name?
Evelyn Fisher.
Evelyn Fisher, yeah. That was, Agent Ape, that guy.
Agent Ape.
So Evelyn Fisher wrote this song, and it's da 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 da.
She's getting avant-garde here.
And this is really hard. You picked a really hard one. It could have been something easy like...
It's really beautiful, Tony. It's a really nice singing.
Oh, shoot. Anyway, guys, sorry about that. I don't think... I prefer the DKC GBA soundtrack, I'm just saying.
And how does that go?
So, I don't remember right now. Okay, but that's about it. Yeah, I just want to let you guys know, what song in the GBA version do you guys prefer, like, to the SNES version? One would be the Brothers Bear theme, which goes... I don't know how to do the sound, like, but... I don't know. Okay, bye, guys.
Thank you for the call, Mamechi, and Agent Ape heckling him as the devil on his shoulder.
I think Tony's been smoking some of that quacky tobacco.
I think Tony's been smoking the bony.
Oh, that's rude.
Rolling Bones, that's what they call it. No, the Rolling Bones, that's what they call marijuana.
Oh,
right?
I didn't know that. So that's what the Rush song is about?
Yeah, that's old-timey. Probably. Huh. It's Rush.
Libertarians.
Yeah. That's old-timey Cheech and Chong lingo. Second Cheech and Chong reference of this episode. Good God. Thank you for the call. Nick, do you prefer any of the GBA songs to the SNES originals?
I honestly don't know the GBA soundtrack well enough to speak to that.
I like a lot of the GBA
they have
songs.
Really long intros.
They're too long intros, too long for the levels themselves. Yeah. I mean, you can't go wrong with David Wise, but here's the thing. I love the Donkey Kong Country 3 soundtrack, the Evelyn Fisher soundtrack as is, and ultimately they're always going to be the definitive versions of the soundtrack.
Why did they replace it? Were they not satisfied with it?
That may not like. I think the reason was they didn't. I've heard conflicting things, so I've got contradictory information. I think essentially they had to recreate like a lot of stuff from the ground up for that game, and I think it was just a matter of, well, we can either recreate the music or we can just write new music for it.
But why they didn't do that for all the other
increased
ports?
Budget. Well, again, I think they had an increased budget for Donkey Kong Country 3 GBA as well.
But still, it's like spitting on the face of the original soundtrack a little bit.
It is, especially since Evelyn Fisher was no longer at Rare at the time. I feel like, and I said I feel like it was disrespectful, but I understand. I mean, they had David Wise.
It's essentially he was
game.
It's mansplaining in the form of a soundtrack. Let me show you how this does.
I was going to go with Return of the Jedi again. It's essentially putting Hayden Christensen's face
good point. Yeah, it's
Return
a special edition.
But I'm okay with it. I think both versions can coexist. The Super Nintendo version is always going to be the more timeless version. The Game Boy Advance version is there for those who want.
I think the Game Boy Advance version would be great music to just listen to on its own, like if you're studying or reading something.
It is.
But it just doesn't go with the game as well as the original.
No. All right. Well, thank you for the call, Mamechi and Agent Ape. Next call.
Hello, Hyle and Nick. It's Banjo-Kazooie 2000 calling again. This week's topic, I believe, is about the first 4 worlds of Donkey Kong Country 3. Now, depending on what order you go in, the worlds should be, if I'm naming them right, Kremwood Lake Orangatanga, Kremwood Forest, Mekanos, and Cotton-Top Cove. Let's see, my thoughts on each world. Lake Orangatanga is a perfect introduction to the game because the first level kind of sets the mood for what the rest of the game's sort of like. Kind of like how Donkey Kong Country, was sort of drenched in, well, Donkey Kong 1 and 2 are more drenched in atmosphere, and this one's a little more cartoony, but I don't mind that. Kremwood Forest has some amazing atmosphere, especially in the various levels where you're climbing up the trees like Bob and Barrel Brawl, and like that really awesome that like really atmospheric music. I love it. And then let's see, Mekanos, the more factory-esque world. Oh man, there's so many weird you stay really natural in the first 2 worlds, but then you reach Mekanos, and all of a sudden you're in the middle of this industrial powerhouse of a land in the middle of the northern Kremwosphere, which has that rock in 2 nuts, ironically named Nuts and Bolts. The one that has the guitar that goes, wow. That one. A lot. And then Cotton-Top Cove, it's got a lot of the underwater stages that are also very atmospheric. This game just is teeming with it. But that's all I really got. I love the worlds. I think this question is going to be asked a lot, but which one's you guys' personal favorite? That's all I got. Now I have to recap the calls once the spotlight is over. So thank you so much for taking this call. Hopefully it's not cut off. This is Banjo-Kazooie 2000, up, over, under, and out.
Thank you for the call, BKT, whatever.
Engage.
So favorite worlds of the game in general. Nick, you want to have a go?
Favorite world in the game in general? Overall world or specific level?
Overall, yeah. Overall world.
Let's see here. Of the first 4?
Of I guess the entire game, but maybe specifically of the first 4.
You go first.
So
you go
both.
first.
Give us both.
Well, I think. Well, it's a hard question. It's a beloved
honestly,
game.
It's a hard question. I like all 4. Kremwood Forest is probably my least favorite. As I already established, I don't really care for the riverbed aesthetic, which is essentially what the map screen is of that world. So I would have to say Cotton-Top Cove, probably. I like the environmental, message of Mekanos or however you pronounce it. But I'll have to go with Cotton-Top Cove because it's gorgeous, and Lake Orangatanga is a close second.
Right on.
And as far as the entire game goes, I would still probably say that, because as much as I like all the worlds in the game, and I still like K3, Razor Ridge, and so on, but I think those are my 2 favorite worlds that I would play to really experience Donkey Kong Country 3 when I just need a straight shot of it to my eyeballs.
Yeah, I'd say it's a tie between the first 3 for me. Or not, first 3, not to confuse things. The third being Cotton-Top.
Oh, okay. So if you're going to be accurate with your
No,
facts...
I'm not saying that's the actual third one. I'm just saying...
All right, let's take another call.
Hey, Hyle and co-host, I hope it's Frothy Root Beer voice guy. This is Evan White calling for the 3rd part of the Donkey Kong Country 3, DKC3 spotlight. And I just, I've been playing through the game ever so slowly as you guys are covering the game. There's a lot going on right now in the gaming world, so it's hard for me to devote as much time as I would like to Donkey Kong Country 3. So I've made it all the way to Lake Orangatanga, and I think I'm on level 2. And anyway, I just wanted to let you guys know that I really wasn't on the Kiddy Kong hating bandwagon for my entire, the past 20 years of my life, almost my whole life, almost. after looking at those renders that you guys are posting and hearing, just the fleshy stuff and all this other stuff going on about Kiddy Kong, I really fucking hate him. I'm sorry for cursing. But I really hate his design. I really hate his exposed arms. He just looks really lazily designed. And I'm sorry, I really don't like him at all. And it kind of sucks because I really liked Donkey Kong Country 3. Now, I don't know what to think anymore. So, alright, I hope you guys are having a really good episode. Can't wait to listen. Maybe one day I'll back you on Patreon. If I haven't, it's patreon.com/DKVine, I think. And I might contribute $1 to get some stickers, however the stickers might change. Alright. Bye, guys.
Thanks for the call, Evan. And don't worry, the stickers will be changing in February, but we'll always make a way for you to still get the stickers you've missed out on. We won't leave people in the dark. Maybe that'll be a higher Patreon tier. Access to stickers. You get grandfathered.
In this episode, I'm less of a frothy root beer float, more of a squirt float, I think.
I feel like Kiddy Kong, the point we've tried to make the previous 2 episodes is you're supposed to hate Kiddy Kong just a little bit.
He's the double trouble.
He's not supposed to be as endearing as Diddy was or Dixie was. Kiddy is supposed to be this burden on Dixie Kong. He's supposed to be that annoying third cousin who sings a jingle whenever he defecates. He's supposed to be that. Kiddy Kong is not supposed to be a character that the Kongs want hanging around them full time. And so if you can view it in that perspective, I think that will make that aspect of Donkey Kong Country 3 more palatable to you. If you can't accept that, and if you think he was just a total misfire as a character and Rare really wanted him to be the next sensation, like bigger than a hula hoop or whatever the hell the kids are into, the MTV, then or the Cheech and Chong even. If you think Rare had aspirations to make Kiddy Kong Mania the biggest thing of the late 90s, then I don't know what to tell you, because you might be right. I might be crazy. That's Billy Joel. I think we can both agree that the design of Kiddy Kong, at the very least, was the equivalent of driving a car into your living room. So,
embarrassing, yes.
Only the good die young, and Kiddy Kong will be around for years and years and years, if that's true. But I like Kiddy Kong all the same, because he's a weirdo, and if you can embrace the negativity, then you'll start seeing the positives. That's my advice.
Go hang out at a freak show for a weekend. Get to know the bearded lady, Do what I do.
Do what Nick does in his spare time. One more call, and then we'll be able to finally go to the bathroom.
G'day, lads. Scrap69 here. How's it going, eh? So Donkey Kong Country 3, eh? Such a brilliant game. Much better than that rubbish called Donkey Kong Country 2. Am I right, lads? Hey? Oh, idiot. There's not a laugh track or anything here. Anyway, what was I saying? Donkey Kong Country 3. It's the second best game of the DKC series, and just gets beaten by the first Donkey Kong Country with DKC 2. Rubbish laughs. Anyway, I know you lads are talking about worlds today, so let's talk about worlds. So I've got 2 favourite levels in the first 4 worlds that I want to discuss with you lads. That is, one of the worlds is in Kremwood Forest, and one of the worlds is in Cotton-Top Cove. So can you guess which levels I'm thinking of? Well, I'll tell you what levels they are. In Kremwood Forest, it's Meals on Wheels. Now, why do I like this level? They've got a lot of shenanigans with fucking barrels hitting fucking rats who look like they're HIV positive. But that's not the important thing. The important thing is it's got the introduction of Paddy the Parallel Bird, the bloody best character in the world. Paddy the Parallel Bird. He's flying indoors in the fucking oat farm, or whatever the fuck it is. Whatever the hell they're doing in the oat mill thing. And, he's kicking shit up, he's smacking bitches. He's just doing shit, like Paddy the Parallel Bird style. And, he's even beaten on a booty bird. And you know how birds like to beat on the booty birds. Yeah, Paddy the Parallel Bird. My other favourite level is the level called Booster Battles. Now that's got the gimmick of, battles that pop Dixie and Kitty up the waterfall. But the main reason I like this level is because of Paddy the Parallel Bird. He's bloody bird in this level, isn't he? You collect bananas and shit, and you have your mate, and you're dodging fucking zongers or whatever the hell it's called while you're flying about. It's brilliant. So yeah, fucking oath. Paddy the Parallel Bird. Don't forget to vote Paddy, lads, because he's the best. Well, here we go. We've got about 8 seconds. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Well, better turn this off anyway. See you, lads.
Okay, first of all, voting has closed in the Hall of Fame, and while we still are awaiting the final Hall of Fame winner, I don't know where it is or what the holdup is, you cannot still vote. So do not vote, Perry. Yeah, thank you for the call, Scraps.
Thank you, Scraps.
Here, actually, got you a birthday present here. Hold on. Let me just get it over here. It's a bowling ball, Scraps. You're gonna hate it.
This has been a File 2 production.
Que rico.